Fox, glad to have you with us from Martinsville, Virginia. We're getting ready to go racing around one of the oldest and shortest tracks. Elliott Sadler will have fans rooting for him because he's a star driver from Virginia and because he once ate 16 bologna burgers in a single sitting. That makes Elliott eligible to be a contestant on Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? And also to be on Photo Finish. Elliott Sadler, nice to see you.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
You ready to go?
I am.
Give us your response.
My first win at Bristol is a great day for me, a time that's always stood still in my mind.
Give us a reaction on this one.
My very first ever go-kart, that's me actually 7 years old. That's pretty cool, man. I had my own little leather jacket back then. I still had my tennis shoes I played in all the time.
One of your favorites.
That is definitely one of my favorites. That is in 1993. And
look how high you get up off the court.
I can jump, man. We won State Player of the Year that year, won a lot of MVP awards, and set a couple school records in scoring and stuff that year.
That's your signature.
That is what I eat, bologna burgers. And I've always told fans, look, it's not good for you, but, man, it tastes good. Chewbacca.
What's your connection here?
I used to do the same noise Chewbacca does all the time.
Can you give us a little...
like that? See, I haven't done it in a long time.
All right, he's no Wookiee. He's an experienced driver, and he'll be worried like most crews are. This is your area, right? Yep. Pit road here. How difficult is it?
I think it's probably one of the most difficult pit roads in all of NASCAR because of the way it sweeps around. Think about it like this, Chris. We come in on the entrance of turn 3 and go all the way around the racetrack, and you exit back at turn 1. So, I mean, you can have a lot of trouble, especially if you're in the wrong place. It can really hurt you as far as pit road's concerned.
And again, this is the second race for the car of tomorrow, so the experience or the experiment continues. What was the buzzword in the garage today?
Charge!
Charge? What do you mean?
April Fool!
Oh, you had me on that. They wouldn't be charging here.
No, you want everything easy. Easy in, easy off. You really want to take care of the brakes. You want to take care of your gear. You want to keep those tires hooked up.
So who's your driver? Who's your pick today?
I'm going to look at the guy that's in third place right now, the guy who knows how to get around, Jeff Gordon.
All right, Jeff Gordon has been dominant here. Let's head down for the command at Richard Petty, the only guy who's won more races here than our Darrell Waltrip, for those famous words in racing.
And now, race fans, for the most famous words in motorsports, our Grand Marshal, Richard Petty.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
Take us through today's race. Darrell Waltrip, Larry McReynolds, Mike Joy, the announcers of tomorrow, today, and the next day. Mike, good to see you.
Thanks, Chris. I get kind of emotional seeing Richard Petty down there, the man who's won more races here than anybody else. Baseball doesn't have its Babe Ruth anymore to carry the banner for the sport, but we've still got Richard Petty, thank goodness. And Darrell, I've been coming here for almost 30 years. I love this place. I love its neighborhood feeling and atmosphere. It's the friendly confines. You sit right on top of the action. The cars are bumping and grinding right next to you. I get emotional.
Well, it is a feel-good place to come to. But now what you want to do is keep those feel-good emotions under check all day long. That's the thing that you got. I've seen guys here on the parade lap. You know, okay, I'm not going to get upset. I'm going to have a calm, cool day. Somebody will be swerving their tires, get a little close to you, and you automatically start shaking your fist. So you've got to keep yourself under control behind the wheel, and don't let that get you in trouble on the track with the other competitors.
Larry, how about fist shaking among crew chiefs, maybe even at themselves? Nobody got to test here with the car of tomorrow. They're seeing this track with this car for the very first time. A lot of scrambling this morning.
Oh, more than I believe I have seen in a long time in that garage area. Even though they didn't get to come to Martinsville to test, they went to a lot of the short tracks around the area. And of course, we have Bristol from last week. The one thing they learned last week, these cars will not turn through the middle of the corner. Same thing is happening here. I saw more setups, more rebuilding of these race cars this morning. In fact, I'd say half the field is pushing their car to the line with the unknown of how that thing is even remotely going to drive.
And they've got to drive it that way for 500 laps. Well, this week's FedEx Racetracks question from Tyler of Ilion, New York, near Utica. What's the most important component of the car at Martinsville?
Well, the importance of this component went away for several years because the brakes are so good on these cars. But I go back to the cars not turning through the middle of the corner. We're seeing a lot of brake usage, a lot of brake heat here. Big concern about these brakes.
I say bumpers. That's the most important component in my book at Martinsville. But have a good bumper.
And if you don't have good brakes, you'll use your bumper.
That's right.
And you hope you have both left at the end of the day. Send us your questions for our FedEx racetracks. Maybe yours will be the FedEx letter of the week that we read on the air. Log on to foxsports.com, keyword FedEx for more info. Budweiser, official beer of NASCAR, is proud sponsor of the Budweiser Pole Award, given to the fastest qualifier at each Nextel Cup race. Budweiser congratulates Denny Hamlin, the latest driver eligible for the Budweiser Shootout of 2008. Ready to race on the short track that thinks it's a super speedway, the half-mile paperclip, Martinsville. One of NASCAR's original racetracks, the shape of which has not changed since it was built in 1947, neither the shape nor size. When built, this was a dirt track. It had 750 seats. They paved it in 1955. But the outer edge of the racetrack, its banking and its configuration have not changed through the 60s and on to today. Certainly there are more seats, as NASCAR's popularity has greatly increased over the year, but it's the same old Martinsville.
Let's talk about the keys to win this race. There's a lot more than 3, but that's what we're going to do is the 3 most important keys. You see right there, we've been talking about it all during the pre-race. Preserve the brakes. Roll through the middle of the corner. That's the key right here. A car that rotates and turns through the middle of the corner, that will be the car that goes to victory lane, gets that grandfather clock. You heard Jeff Hammond talk about it. One of the toughest, tightest, challenging pit roads we go to. The pit boxes are small and pit road is very narrow.
All right, Darrell, we're ready to race in Martinsville. Who you want to talk to?
I'm going to talk to Jamie Mack. Let's see if we can raise him here. Hey, Jamie Mack, DW up in the Fox booth, bud. You got a copy?
10-4 DW, loud and clear.
Pretty good run last week, my man. What you got for him today?
Well, our car is good. It wasn't good enough to win in happy hour, so we have adjusted on a little bit. Hopefully Larry and Derek have made the right changes. Pretty excited. It's April 1st, which is Autism Awareness Month, and got the Autism Speaks logo here in our car. And, man, I love Martinsville. I'm ready to go.
Roger that. Did you let Larry Boy in the pits today?
We did let him in the pits, and he's actually on the pit box. So Larry's done a great job for us this year. So really excited about everything we got going on right now.
Larry Boy, you got him right?
I sure hope so. I'd say we'll know here in about 30 minutes there.
Oh, you're looking good, dude. Y'all have a great day. Good luck.
10-4.
Larry Carter, Jamie's crew chief, as we get ready to race. The second pace car pulls off, having established pit road speed at 30 miles an hour for the back half of the field. Denny Hamlin, the 7th different pole sitter in the last 7 races at Martinsville, will lead them down to the green.
That's my pick. That boy knows how to get around this joint. On a pole, I like it.
All of the Joe Gibbs cars qualified in the top 7, Larry.
A lot like Bristol. They seem to have their arms around this car tomorrow the quickest of any of the organizations.
4 drivers make their first Cup start at Martinsville. Dergieli finished, who was qualified 5th. Tony Stewart is 7th. David Rudiman, Regan Smith, Juan Pablo Montoya, and A.J. Allmendinger make their first Martinsville start today.
DW, 500 laps. Take care of your brakes. Be patient. And I'll let you know when we got 50 to go. And by the way, reach up here and pull those belts tight one more time.
I love it.
NASCAR's most historic track. 500 laps around the short track. And oh yeah, send us an order of those Jesse Jones Franks at halfway, DW.
Boogity, boogity, boogity. Come on, boys, let's go racing.
Kenny Schrader qualified 4th, his best start since he qualified 4th here in 2003. He's in the 21, but got hung on the outside. Here comes Stewart passing on the outside, and there's a battle for second as Jeff Gordon goes after Jamie McMurray.
thought that was a pretty good bit of competition there on the start between the 26 and the 24. That Jeff Gordon letting Jamie down in the front of him there on the start. That was clean.
You know, we actually saw this in the truck race yesterday. That second groove is already working pretty good.
Spinner out of 4, and it's Casey Mears.
I think he's got a flat tire.
Yellow, got a yellow.
Caution will wave.
That's good news for Mears. Can he stay in front of the leader? He does.
I'm clear. You're clear. Something. There's like a shock.
NASCAR Nextel Cup Racing on Fox is sponsored by Chevy, the most wins in NASCAR history, an American revolution. By DirecTV, just say ride shotgun on race day with NASCAR Hot Pass only on DirecTV. By Nextel, only from Sprint, helping NASCAR Nextel Cup fans get more done. And by Coca-Cola, thanks for drinking.
We'll take the restart from our Ultimate Picture Cam from DLP, Texas Instruments, as it floats across Martinsville Speedway and onto the front straightaway. Denny Hamlin, 5th different pole for Joe Gibbs Racing at Martinsville. Tony has 3, Bobby Labonte had 1, and Denny Hamlin this weekend.
We really had no cars come to pit road under that caution except for Casey Mears, and he's actually back on pit road now. Getting a report that his sway bar arm came off is why he lost that car.
Harvick on the move under J.J. Yaley, makes the pass. Let's go pit side and check with Matt Yoakum.
Mike, an observation and 2 concerns for 7-time Martinsville winner Jeff Gordon. First, he said it seems very difficult to pass early on, but he had a concern about brakes like so many others, seeing so much heat in those rotors during practice. His other observation was the fact that if he has radio problems, he'll put his hand on the door. The problem, he tried doing it, he could barely get his hand up there with this new, wider car tomorrow.
You know, Jeff had brake trouble at Bristol last week, but let me tell you why. The car was not handling. When your car doesn't handle, you've got to stop it with the brakes. That's the only way you can get through the corner. If your car handles well, you won't have any brake problems.
See Dale Earnhardt Jr. there in the 8 car, started back in the 8th position. He moves up to 7th. Very happy with his race car in all of the practice sessions here, especially the 2 yesterday.
Carl Edwards, the 99, started 9th. He passes Schrader, who tucks in front of Tony Raines and Jeremy Mayfield. If you're riding with Raines, Schrader ahead. Schrader gives room and Raines pulls through. Dick Berggren.
Well, talked to Carl Edwards before the start of the race this morning, Mike, and he has a very simple strategy. Save the brakes. I guess he was listening to Larry McReynolds, and he is going to do everything he can to avoid spinning the tires coming off the corners. He thinks that's the key to success, and if he wins the race today, he is going to give the grandfather clock away to his father.
Well, that's the secret to success here. Don't use too much brakes and don't spin the tires. It's pretty simple, but try to do it for 500 laps.
See Jimmy Johnson there in the 48 car, started back in 20th position. Darrell talked about him in the pre-race show. This team, they had, we talked about Joe Gibbs Racing, the success they're having with the car tomorrow. The Hendrick organization seems to be good, but the 48 team, they just have not found what they're looking for. But Jimmy hates a race car that does not turn. That seems to be the characteristics of these cars.
Well, think about the 48. He's better with the current car than maybe the other guys are. They're just the opposite with this car, and their setup doesn't work like it does in the other car.
How's he like his car today, Krista?
Well, so far it's okay. He's been able to pass a couple cars, but yeah, yesterday nothing happy about happy hour for Johnson. I mean, guys, when was the last time our series champion finished last in final practice? The team this morning was thrashing. They were changing the setup. Chad Panaus, the crew chief, told me they needed to adjust for the overcast and cooler temperatures, but any changes are good changes. They also adjusted the brake system. Jimmy Johnson started 20th. He is currently up to 18th.
You know, one of the natures of the racetrack here at Martinsville is we've only been about 9 laps since our last restart. Our leader, Denny Hamlin, in the 11 car, about another 4 to 6 laps. He will be lapping cars at the back of the field.
Well, that's because there's a lot of cars that are evil looking. I mean, they are sliding sideways and not getting any forward bite. guys that got some work to do on some of these cars.
Darrell, the turns here are concrete. The straightaways are asphalt. When you make that jump off turn 2, when you get to that asphalt, does the car go squirrely on you?
Yeah, that little transition from the concrete to the asphalt, just that little bump right there.
Right,
you'll see
there.
the 99 right there. It always steps the back out just a little bit, and that's where you work on forward bite. Coming off the concrete, up on that asphalt, and not getting the back jukey.
Yeah, we go to a lot of racetracks that are asphalt. We go to some racetracks that are concrete, like Bristol last week. This racetrack has both, concrete in the corners, asphalt on the straightaways. Reason being, they tried asphalt all the way around this racetrack for a number of years, but because the tires gripped so good, it would just pull the asphalt out of the corners.
Time for our first AT&T Singular Virtual Crew Chief question, submitted by Francis Wilkins of Charlotte. Was last weekend's debut of the car of tomorrow successful? Yes or no? Text the word crew to 191 on your AT&T Singular wireless phone. Singular is the new AT&T.
And I think that's the answer.
Yes or no? I can always count on you, Darrell.
Denny Hamlin just laps A.J. Allmendinger in an 84 car. A.J. Allmendinger missed the first 4 races, but the 2 races on short tracks with the car tomorrow qualified this 84 Red Bull car.
And a hello to his teammate Brian Vickers, who failed to qualify for this show and is still nursing burns from the race last week at Bristol. A burn through or fracture in an exhaust pipe made things intolerably hot inside his Toyota. Matt?
Jamie finally got by the 84 car. He mentioned that he did hit the curb. You see the yellow curbing down at the bottom during practice. He said, but it didn't damage the splitter. So that's not a concern for him today. He says the biggest difference for this team is centered around one person, crew chief Larry Carter. He's great with people, and you can feel how the chemistry is on this team as he loses the second position to Gordon, but they have really come around to 5th last week, hoping for another top 5 today.
The curve here now is what I call a soft curve. When they redid the racetrack a couple of years ago, they softened that curve up, put a lot of radius in it, so it doesn't have that sharp edge on it like you may relate to a curve at home. This is a softer version of that, and you can get up on it and not hurt anything.
Doesn't upset the car near as much as it used to.
It's got a nice roll to it now.
Used to be you'd spin down to the bottom of the racetrack, jump that curb, and hang the car up on it. They'd need the wrecker to get it off. 26 laps complete in the Goody's 500. 34 laps complete. Denny Hamlin still leads at Martinsville, and you're encouraged to participate in today's Domino's Hot Lap, which is the halfway lap, lap 250. Which of these 5 drivers will be ahead of the others when they cross the start-finish line at lap 250? Go to Fox SP on any wireless phone, and all participants are entered to win the ultimate fan experience at the Michigan race in August.
Darrell, while we were away and the boys are at play, what is it you say? Big Daddy is on the prowl.
Oh, yeah.
That 24 car, Jeff Gordon.
His car looks mighty good. Looks like it's got that Martinsville attitude.
And Mike, I think he was a pole contender on Friday, but the track was so hot, he was the first car to go out. He was really surprised he ended up qualifying 3rd with that 24 car.
One thing you can't do here, as Darrell said, is overdrive the racetrack. Watch the 49 of Mike Bliss as he locks up the brakes coming in the corner. Just a moment, Bobby Labonte is in the wall hard.
Heavy impact.
Cheerios 43. That's turn 1. That's a mess.
Yeah, it is, and I think he's really not happy.
That was a huge break for a lot of cars that were about to go a lap down, like Casey Kane and Sterling Marlin, Greg Biffle, Matt Kenseth back there.
And this was a track where the Petties had very, very high hope for success this weekend. There's Richard, who gave the command to start the race. You know, he got in the back of Greg Biffle. Darrell, did it look like he might have run out of brake?
It almost looks like something happened to his car, because he sure did fly in there hard and then lost control. No contact from behind. I'm not sure what happened there. Maybe Biffle slowed quicker than he thought he was going to.
And Darrell, I think these guys are putting so much rear brake in their car. If you have to jump on your brakes hard getting in the corner, it definitely can make the cars loose. They can adjust the front and rear bias.
Bobby's looking around like he's something's.
Well, Greg Biffle, the 16, was right in front of him. Look and see if Biffle made a sudden move to the outside, perhaps, before Labonte made contact. Here they come into the picture. No?
No, I don't think so. Nope. I mean, Biffle is up the hill, though, but I think Bobby ran into the back of Biffle.
Yeah, because you could see Biffle's car wiggle there for just a moment.
I'm thinking something might have happened to that 43 car.
Pit road is open and pit road is very busy. Looks like about everybody at the front of the pack will come to pit road here on lap 39.
Kyle Petty, he gets the lucky dog.
Dick Berggren?
Carl Edwards had picked up a couple of spots, but the car needs some work. He doesn't have the grip he wants coming off, and he said the brakes feel a little bit funny. Matt.
Jeff Gordon says his car was really good. It started to free up a little bit, and also the outside groove was starting to work in. Meanwhile, McMurray says his car was great, didn't want any changes. Harvick as well. Krista.
Our leader, Denny Hamlin, said his car is a little tight, but more importantly, he needs forward bite. They're making an air pressure and a very slight track bar adjustment. Steve Burns.
Jeff Burton just exiting pit road. He said that his car has got just a little bit free on entry. Otherwise, it is tight. They've talked about air pressure adjustments and raising the track bar.
When we come back, we'll find out what Jeremy Mayfield, the 36, and Ricky Rudd did.
Ricky Rudd changed 2 right side tires. I was looking dead at him.
This week, America's pastime returns to Fox. Mets Braves, or Twins White Sox, or Dodgers Giants. All that rivalry in high definition. The Fox Saturday Baseball Game of the Week. New time. Every week, 3:30 p.m. Eastern, only on Fox. Today, and maybe only today, but today, the Cubs can win the pennant.
Yes, they can.
Ask me again next week. All right. I'm excited about it today. Well, 58% of you in our virtual crew chief ATT singular question say that yes, the car tomorrow debut was a success.
At the end of the day, the end of the race was good. I know that. Pretty exciting.
It's like when you come to Daytona for the 500. When you roll in there, everybody can win the Nextel Cup. Everybody can win the Daytona 500. The Cubs can go to the World Series.
I'm not going there.
I'd like to. I've been wanting to all my life, but they haven't got there yet.
I'm going to Daytona.
All right.
Now, we mentioned all of our leaders hit pit road. Most of them changed 4 tires. Elliott Sadler in the 19 car, Josh Brown as crew chief, they decided with only about 35 laps on their tires to stay out and not pit, so they have not made a pit stop yet.
Here's your running order in Fox 3D. We get set for the restart. Green flag to complete 46 laps.
Based on what I saw yesterday, Larry, tires are not a big issue, and track position is.
And this is a fairly hard tire. In other words, it does not give up very easily. Now, I'm sure Elliott Sadler's going to have his hands full with Denny Hamlin at 11 car, but Denny's still trying to get by the lap down car, David Stremme in the 40.
And, of course, David's trying to stay there to get that lucky dog if we happen to get a quick caution here. You know, Martinsville historically has always been a track where the longer you run the tires, actually, the better they get. We start the pressure so low here, 8 pounds of air in the left side tires. Takes about 20 laps for the pressure to get up to really good operating temps. And so the tires are coming in, they come in late, but they last a long time.
There's 2 ways to pass here. One is the way that Jeff Gordon just got by David Stremme. Get a jump off the corner and get under the driver you want to pass. The other way is go in the corner on the outside of him and hope that he knows you're there.
And if you get bumped around a little bit, you got to let it go. You can't hang on to it. You got to put that out of your mind and go back to doing your job, because you're going to get shoved and beat and pushed around here more than anywhere we go.
What'd you say at the top of the show? Keep those emotions inside.
That's right. Don't wear your feelings out there on your splitter.
Denny Hamlin goes back to the lead. Drag racing Elliott Sadler down the straightaway and dropping inside him. Jeff Gordon tries to come through for second place, and Sadler waves him by.
He saw that 24-car Gordon was faster. There's no sense in those guys racing side by side like that, because that means it's going to bring everyone behind them right up to him.
One driver out of the race. He's with Matt Yoakum.
Bobby Labonte, Mike, has walked out of the Infield Care Center. Bob, what happened?
Went down in turn 1, following Greg Biffle, and the brake pedal just went all the way to the floor. It never gave me an indication off a turn. We're going into turn 3, so something had to break, or a line came loose or something like that. So just wasn't our day.
Thank you, Bob.
Yeah, thank you.
The Petties had high hopes, and Bobby Labonte was a contender, was expected to be a contender for a top 10 finish here.
Got a battle for the lead here that's looking like it isn't going to last long. That 24 car made some good adjustments in that last stop.
Just can't quite stay in the throttle off the corner just enough to make the pass down the straightaway.
Well, this track's so narrow, and on corner entry, when you need to put the throttle down, you need the whole racetrack to make it happen.
Kevin Harvick in the 29 dives to the inside of Elliott Sadler in the 19. He'll take the 3rd position away.
And what Elliott's going to do here is, there's a gap behind him. He's going to get in a position where his old tires will be as good as the guys behind him, and then he'll be in good shape.
Remember, on our race-off pit road, we saw that Elliott Sadler and Ricky Rudd had gained 8 positions in the pits, and it's been confirmed that both those teams did take just 2 tires.
Well, Elliott Sadler stayed out. Jeremy Mayfield changed 2 tires in the 36 car.
Right.
And Jeff Green in the 66.
Thanks, Larry. Hamlin wants the lead back. Tucks the nose under there just a little bit. Doesn't get it. Krista?
Guys, something to keep in mind today for Dale Jr. If you remember back in between 2002 and 2004, Dale Earnhardt Jr. had that streak of top 5s here. They haven't really had a handle on this track since. That was before they had grinded the track. Dale Jr. says these cars of tomorrow, it favors his old setup and thus the old track, and that is why he thinks he has a better handle on this track because of the car of tomorrow.
And remember, last year he had a great run here with no right front fender. I mean, he was pretty much had half his nose missing, but I think he still finished like 4th.
Tell you what, he pokes the hole, though. That orange number 20, Tony Stewart, behind him. He fills the hole right after Dale Earnhardt Jr. and the 8 goes through it.
Look at the front end of that car. One thing I like about the car of tomorrow is from the center line of the bumper up, they look like a car. The left side fenders aren't all yanked out. The right side's tucked in, and they don't look all like melted down. They're squared up. Looks pretty good.
I think a nice name would be boxcar. They look like boxcars. They're nice and square. Not to kind of go by the track back here on the railroad track. I'm talking about, they're in a tight box. They say that all the time. So
I'm with you.
Must be a boxcar.
Let's get some team communication from Tony Stewart.
You're going to have to help me on this. Normally I'd want the bottom here right away, but you're just going to have to look and see how those guys get through them. If they're getting through them all right, just tell me to stay up. It's hard to pass the lap cars today.
Yeah, I see that.
Talking to his spotter.
And his spotter is Mark Robinson, that's up on top of the grandstands here, and what he's asking is, tell me how the other leaders are getting through the lap traffic. Give me a little bit of warning how it's happening.
See, and that's the thing about the spotter. He's not just up there to tell you clear. He's up there to help you. He'll tell you what happened on pit road. He'll tell you where guys are running and give you lap times occasionally, but he's up there doing his job.
And there they are, ever vigilant. One spotter, at least one spotter per car. Up on the roof at Martinsville Speedway, where a nice crowd is on hand to watch the NASCAR Nextel Cup Stars. Jeff Gordon out in front at 62 laps.
Time to follow the leader.
Hey, race fans, you grab the bud, I'll grab the trophy.
Jeff Gordon continues to lead. Dale Jr. has moved up to 4th place. Here at Martinsville, Gordon beginning to get into lap traffic. Going around Joe Nemechek. It's big, it's bad, it's victory red. Go to foxsports.com/Silverado for a chance to meet Dale Jr. and drive away in his all-new 07 Chevy Silverado.
Okay, I've been watching this blue deuce right here. Kurt Busch in that 2 car, he started back in the 12th position, and he just kind of picking them off one by one. Pretty much had a disastrous race last week at Bristol, started 42nd, just never could get their arms around it, but looking pretty good here today in that 2.
So I tell you another guy that's, I think some of the work they did this morning is paying off. It's a 48 car, Larry. I've been watching him. The car's handling really good. He's able to make some passes, and he's moved up to 11th place. And when you think that he was the slowest car in practice yesterday, they've found that old magic wand again.
Jeff Gordon closing in on the driver who won the most races on this circuit last year, Casey Kane, in the 9. One lap ago with Kane and Robbie Gordon and the 01 Regan Smith, and a little bunching up there.
And these guys are desperate. You see that 24 car, Jeff Gordon, the leader, there right there behind them. So those guys are trying to stay on the lead lap. We're riding with David Ruderman right now in the 00 car. Right now, David 2 laps down. I need to mention Casey Mears in the 25. They went to the garage, repaired that front sway bar problem they had. He's back out there 27 laps down.
So far, all I'm seeing is casual contact. I don't see anything, any beating and banging. Pretty much just Martinsville at its finest.
There's Casey Mears, a 25 car.
And even though Jeff Gordon's leading the race, you got to be aggressive. You can't let people hold you up.
See Robbie Gordon in the 7, giving a little bump to A.J. Allmendinger, 84, saying, look, the leader's here. Let's go.
Robbie gave a bunch of race fans an unexpected thrill this morning. Parked his car down at Hardee's about half a mile from the track to make it easier to get out. Walked up the hill and down Brass Shop Road right in the midst of all the race fans. It's like, hey, look at that. That's pretty cool.
He enjoys mixing and mingling with the fans. He'll get on his golf cart and go out into the infield at some of the bigger racetracks.
Jeff Gordon leads this race at 78 laps. He's been out front for 23 of them. Matt?
Jeff Gordon's gas man, Caleb Hurd, and a group from the Pit Crews for Kids, an outreach of the Hendrick Marrow program, made a visit to Duke University's pediatric bone marrow transplant unit yesterday. They met a young lady named Katie Chapman, and they gave a bear to the crew. Katie made it. They gave it to the team for good luck, so they tie wrapped the bear to the roll cage inside Jeff Gordon's car. She nicknamed it Winning, meaning to win. Special young lady battling leukemia. Her thoughts, though, with this 24 team, hoping they get to victory lane.
They're working on it pretty good right now, Matt, that 24 car.
I bet that's one scared bear right this minute.
I bet that bear ends up in the family collection for future use.
I would say you're right. Tony Stewart, the 20 car, goes by Jamie McMurray. That's a battle for 5th right now. No longer a battle. Darryl, you bring that up about the 24 car, Jeff Gordon. We had him on our trackside show the other night. Of course, he and his wife Ingrid expecting their first child. I know you were excited when your girls were born. I was excited. Mike was excited when our first child was born. But there's a lot of excitement in Jeff Gordon about this baby that's on the way.
I tell you, he is as proud of a papa right now as anybody I've ever met. I mean, he and Ingrid are, I mean, they're just, you can tell they're really looking forward to it. And I got to tell you, Larry, every time I think about Jessica Lee Waltrip, this race right here in 1987, I came to a racetrack on Sunday morning. She was born on Thursday. There was a rose and a note. It said, win this one for me, Daddy.
Oh.
Most incredible day of my life, and I won it.
I was going to say, put the period on that story.
I won it on the last lap.
Jeff Gordon lapping past Dave Blaney in the Cat Camry. We talked about the 4 first-timers here at Martinsville. Juan Pablo Montoya, Steve, running in 29th.
And Mike, he's actually doing a good job. He's been telling his team where and when he wants to try to pass somebody, and every time he does, his team is excited about it. He actually said before this race he feels a lot more comfortable here at Martinsville than he did at Bristol.
And Steve, right now he's running just in front of the guy that he's battling for the rookie points battle there, the 6 car, David Reagan. Casey Mears, the 25 car, against the wall again. No caution yet, though.
Well, they have got issues, something going on with that race car.
Can't get it down to pit road, just the conveyor belt of cars going around. He'll have to try and make one more lap before he can pit. And his teammate Jeff Gordon swoops around, giving him a chance to get to pit road, and we will stay green. Watch for the National Guard 25.
You can tell the right front tire is down right there. And, of course, you know they had the sway bar problem. You almost question, okay, did a sway bar arm maybe rub the inside of the tire and cut that tire down? There's Robbie Gordon, a 7 car. He looks like he's got a problem as well, trying to get through those cars to get to pit road.
Two tires, come on.
He's not going to make it this time. He's going to have to go around again. There's the entrance of pit road right there in turn 3.
Car, come on.
I believe he will.
Can't get down.
I believe he will probably end up stopping.
Can't get you down. Can't get you down. I'm trying, Rob. Trying to get you down. Trying to get you down.
Space after Blaney right there, but he can't turn, so he'll stop.
Yeah, the right front tire is down, and he just can't turn the car when he gets in the corner. Caution will fly.
Well, it took a while, and Robbie Gordon lost a lap in the process, but finally did get a needed caution to be able to get to pit road. Nice job of staying off the wall.
Tell you who that was a very timely caution for. Once again, Matt Kenseth in that 17 car, Jeremy Mayfield, David Reagan, Montoya, those guys just about to get lapped by Jeff Gordon in the 24 car.
Yeah, Kenseth was the next car to go a lap down, and that was timely.
He has struggled all weekend long.
I've seen that car sideways more here than I've seen it sideways anywhere it's ever been. I don't think I've ever seen him spun out as sideways as he has been here.
But don't count him out.
No, but
they got work to do, though.
Third caution of the day. It comes out at lap 91 for Robbie Gordon.
Now, also, I want to say, even though we're 91 laps into this race, remember, Elliott Sadler in the 19 car has still not pitted, but he's sitting there in 7th position. So mission accomplished by that move and his crew chief, Josh Brown, in staying out. And I'm sure a lot of teams were paying close attention to that.
I don't think there's any question you can get by with 2 tires if your lefts are not, gone.
Leaders are coming. Pit road's open.
She'll be busy again. It's been about close to about 45, 50 laps since they were last on pit road.
Dick?
Well, Carl Edwards lost a couple of spots on that run, so they're going to try to give him a little bit more grip by taking some air pressure out of the initial starting air pressure in his tires. They're also going to make a chassis adjustment to try and tighten the car up just a little bit. Matt.
7-time Martinsville winner Jeff Gordon says his car is too loose on entry and too loose off. They've made a wedge adjustment. He says the car is awesome through the center of the corner. To Krista.
Denny Hamlin brings his car around. He still has the same problem. The car is getting tight, and he needs to be able to drive off the corners. They're making a 4-tire adjustment with a track bar and air pressure change. Steve Burns.
Krista Reed Sorensen of the 41 has made up 12 positions since the start of this race. He told crew chief Jimmy Elledge, I just need help rotating through the center. They made a track bar adjustment.
Now you see the race off pit road. What it does not show is one KG veteran who did not come to pit road, Matt Kenseth.
He will.
He will. He's going to get those 5 points for leading a lap. There you see him.
He's the guy that I think the one agenda they're on every week is to be sure and lead a lap because he has the most bonus points.
Time to check into the Blue Ridge Mountain Hotel right here, nestled in the foothills of Blue Ridge.
Is Hammond strapped in his seat?
Not going anywhere. Not going anywhere.
I did not kick his chair. You guys
He did not. He did not.
I would never do that, but we did arrange something just to keep him on his toes. All right, yeah, speaking of struggling, Matt Kenseth, right, who's been one of the top Fords running so far this year, having some problems in this race. How can he change it?
I mean, the biggest thing is right now getting down pit road. You see him getting ready to come down pit road. He's going to be working, trying to get this car hooked up. It looks to me like he's having a whole lot of trouble getting off off the corners right now, Chris, more than anything else.
And when we saw moments ago Robbie Gordon, it looked like that tire exploded when it hit the wall there.
Again, you put a lot of heat in these cars as far as the brakes are concerned, and a lot of times that'll transfer to the right front or left front, depending on which one you're working the most. And it looked to me like all of a sudden the right front tire just literally exploded. He did a great job keeping it off the wall and getting on the pit road.
21st in points coming in, single car team doing well. Let's get a check on Kenseth. You were talking moments ago. Here's Steve Burns.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Talking to Kenseth's crew chief, Robbie Reiser, this morning, he said, we are so bad, I might try anything just for an advantage. And we saw what they just did. They stayed out, led 5 points. Mike Joy.
Thanks, Steve. There's a look at Matt Kenseth's team. Good to go here. Let me tell you how good Jeff Gordon is at Martinsville. Richard Petty's won the most races here, but in 67 starts, he led 26 races, 40%. Darrell, you started 52 races here, led 32, 60%. This is Jeff Gordon's 29th start at Martinsville. He's led 21 of 29.
And he's finished an incredible amount of laps here. I saw some statistic where he had only failed to finish 6 laps.
Wow.
That's out of 11,500 laps here at this place. That stat amazes me as much as anything.
And that leads us to our DLP amazing moment. Happened here in October of 2005. Jeff Gordon won his 7th career Martinsville race, the most among all active Nextel Cup drivers. Jeff Gordon and Tony Stewart, the first 2 to the line that day, and 2 who certainly will figure in this one.
Well, pit road has started playing its havoc because J.J. Yaley, the 18 car, on the lead lap, pitted outside the box. They did the work, so he will be 1 lap down now in this 18 car.
That'll leave us 30 cars on the lead lap. There's our group of Fox onboard camera drivers and the different views that they'll show you as we get ready to restart, completing 97 of 500 laps. Dave Blaney got the free pass on that caution, and we're back to green.
It's always interesting on these restarts, Larry and Mike, to see who made. You can always tell the guys that made the adjustment that really helped the car, because all of a sudden, I mean, they're up there just like the 11 car is. He's putting a lot of pressure on Jeff this time, where last time Jeff was putting the pressure on him.
Speaking of pressure, Mike, what do you think about, let's just reach over there and put pressure on that volume knob and
crank it up, short track style. Around, everybody scatters. A little casual contact between Marlin and Gilliland, but otherwise no one else involved.
What's that 40 car, Larry? It's just like he couldn't do anything about it. It just started to get a little loose and it spun right around.
You got something going on, I got a flat or something.
I agree with you, buddy, because that thing just kind of all of a sudden it just gets loose, and then she just goes around.
This was one of the cars making wholesale changes this morning. In fact, they put the full setup out from Reed Sorensen's car, the 41, his teammate, under that car to start this race.
You see how Jeff Burton just snuck through there as Stremmy's car slid up the racetrack. Under caution, 5th time. Sterling Marlin in the 14 is our AutoZone biggest mover of the race so far. He's really in the zone. Get in the zone with AutoZone. Started 37th, moved up to 20th. Honorable mention to Jimmy Johnson. Johnson started 20th, and he is up to 8th.
Just been marching slowly but surely towards the front.
J.J. Yaley got the free pass, overcoming that pit road penalty, so he's back on the lead lap. As we get ready for this restart, completing lap 105.
What makes restarts, especially as the race gets older, is the inside line. See how many cars 1 or more laps down? That's what makes it a challenge for those cars on the outside that are on the lead lap, especially after a restart.
Leader kind of likes it. Nobody else does, though.
Yeah, they're 11 cars deep on that inside lane. Nice clean restart.
Well, we mentioned Jimmy Johnson's up to 8th. He restarted, though, as far as position on the racetrack, 16th because of those lap down cars.
I got a feeling we're going to hear a lot more from Jimmy Johnson before this day's over with. I've been watching this car, Larry, and it looks like it is stuck to the track today. A lot better than it did in practice.
Oh, absolutely.
Krista?
I asked Chad Knaus this morning, I said, you know, why is Jimmy so good here? You look at the streak, 9 top 10s in the 9 out of 10 top 10s. Oh, caution on the track, guys.
Yeah, that'll be Sterling Marlin.
We actually do not have caution. Sterling Marlin in the 14 will get going, and he will stay on the lead lap about a half a straightaway in front of Jeff Gordon. You can see the difference right there, but we stay green.
So a spin by Marlin, no caution.
Sorry, Krista, temporarily interrupted. Go ahead.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, 9 out of 10 top 10s for Jimmy Johnson. I asked Chad Knaus, why are you guys so good here? He said, you know, it's all about taking notes. Jimmy took notes from Jeff Gordon. Chad took notes from Bobby Loomis. Remember, Loomis was very good here with Bobby Hamilton. So Chad said it's all about notes. You know, these guys do their preparation and their homework quite possibly as good, if not better, than any team out here.
Thanks. Let's show you what happened with Sterling Marlin. No caution flag for that one. We are still under green. Watch the 14, middle of your screen.
Scott Riggs in the 10 got into the back of him.
I think that all accordion from further forward.
Definitely what it looked like. Just stacking up.
Juan Pablo did a good job of working his way through there and not hitting anything.
Here's what Matt Kenseth saw. Take the high road.
Slow down, grab a couple of gears, and keep digging.
I like what I'm seeing today on these caution flags, though. You know, we're not throwing one every time somebody gets a little bit out of shape. And the reason I like that is because the more cautions you have, the more cautions you're going to have.
Four Chevys out front. There's Kevin Harvick in third. He's been in the top 3 for most of this race, as you see. Dale Jr. running in fourth. And then the first non-Chevy is Jamie McMurray in 5th place, the Irwin Ford.
Pretty much carried the banner for Ford here all weekend long, qualifying and all.
Tony Stewart is 6th. Kurt Busch is the first Dodge in the race in 7th.
Kurt and his crowd have really helped his car too. He was struggling quite a bit, but looks decent right now.
As we've well documented, Jimmy Johnson in the 48 is 8th.
Casey Kane in 9 now. He's a lap down back in 33rd. Jimmy Johnson's teammate, our winner from last week, the 5-car Kyle Busch, he's been working his way to the front, started back in 14. So we have 3 of the 4 Hendrick cars well up in the top 10.
And then to round out the top 10 is Carl Edwards in the 99. You're working underneath Joe Nemechek.
I tell you, there's a car right behind Carl Edwards, Martin Truex Jr., the 1 car, Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s teammate. That car has actually been good all weekend long. In fact, he just about won every single practice session here.
He didn't win final practice because his teammate did.
There you go.
But he had a bad effort in qualifying, and that kind of hindered him. But again, that car looks like it's hooked up very well. All you got to do if you want to know how good a car is watch it off the corner. And if it comes off of the corner straight, the back end doesn't step out right at the exit of the corner, you've got a pretty good old piece.
Ricky Rudd's had success here. He tutored our rookies earlier in the weekend, as you saw in the pre-race. And his Ford is 12th.
Making his 54th start here today.
Tony Raines, the DLP Chevy. He's in 13th, Matt.
Very solid run now. He qualified in the 11th position. They didn't make any changes on the car the first run, but they certainly did on the second pit stop. They made a track bar adjustment. He says the track is changing. They're trying to stay ahead because the sun is definitely now gone behind the clouds. Weather a slight concern, but they feel like it's going to skirt around us. But this track definitely changing. They're trying to stay ahead of it.
What happens on the racetrack is as longer we run, the more the rubber builds up on top of the racetrack. You'll get rubber buildups. Little knots will come in the groove, and the cars will start to skip and dance around over those rubber knots. I'm sure as we go along, we'll be able to show you some of them. They're not quite built up enough yet to see them, but we will before the day's over.
About lap 300 to 400 is when you really start showing up in the corners.
Riding with Jeff Burton as he battles Elliott Sadler for 17th and Clint Boyer on the inside.
I think, Larry, that's one reason why some guys just have more. They continue to have success at certain racetracks. A rookie or a younger driver, he's not going to know that. He's not going to anticipate that happening to the track and what he needs to do adjustment-wise or have it set up right for those kind of conditions. It's where a guy like Jeff Gordon and some of these other guys got a huge advantage.
122 laps complete. Let's check with Steve.
Yeah, Mike, just listening to Scott Miller, the crew chief for Jeff Burton, he told Burton it's hard to get track position right now, but there's only about 4 or 5 cars that are faster than us, so just be patient and we'll be there at the end.
A nice wave out the window. Thank you for letting me by, he waved in the direction of David Stremme.
Yeah, Jeff's running about where he started. He started back in the 19th position, running in 16th right now in the 31 car, Jeff Burton.
Jeff Gordon has led 67 of the 124 laps. That's more than half, but we're a long way to the finish in Martinsville.
NASCAR Nextel Cup Racing on Fox is sponsored by Toyota. Moving forward. By Napa Auto Parts. Napa, get the good stuff. By Degree Men, more power than you need. One day you'll need it. And by McDonald's.
Jeff Gordon continues to lead at 132 laps. Here's your Napa race summary. 5 lead changes among 4 drivers and 4 caution flags for 24 laps. Sterling Marlin is the last of 30 cars still on the lead lap. 2 cars in the garage, Casey Mears and Bobby Labonte.
And I've been watching this side-by-side battle right here in front of our leader, Jeff Gordon, for several laps. Remember, Sterling Marlin was well up into the top 15 or 20. He was our biggest mover, got spun out just a few laps ago. Almost went a lap down, but he's been staying in front of the leader, racing Dave Blaney in the 22 that we're riding with right now.
Yeah, Sterling is pedaling hard right now, boys. He's trying to stay in front of that leader if he can, and so far he's been able to hold him off.
Trying to get that caution.
In the meantime, that's allowed the 11 car to close up on the back of Jeff Gordon here. Now Jeff's not on it. He's going to have to go, and that's bad news for Sterling.
For Sterling, for J.J. Yaley, for Ryan Newman, and Johnny Sauter. Those are the 4 cars just ahead of our leader.
Yeah, last caution, J.J. Yaley got the free pass and got back on the lead lap, but when you get the free pass, the rule is you have to start at the tail end of the longest line, which is about a half a lap down when they drop the green flag.
And just ahead of that group comes Scott Riggs, Juan Pablo Montoya, racing for 21st and trying to stay on the lead lap during what's been a fairly long green flag run here.
Yeah, we've been about 40 laps since that last caution. Restarted back on lap 97. We're at lap 136 right now. We got a battle for the lead. Jeff Gordon, we talked about him a while ago, stacked up behind these cars.
What happened there? Jeff tried to go the outside to get around Sterling on the outside, and he didn't make it happen, and that opened the door for the 11. Gee, that looked like it might have been a little contact right there.
And now the left rear corner of Gordon's car was pushed in before. That's not new damage. And we'll see if Sterling gives him the bottom and if Gordon can hold the bottom and make the pass.
Now Sterling is trying to go the outside of the 18 car.
Still trying to stay on the lead lap. And here comes Hamlin, our pole sitter, looking for the lead once again.
Jeff won't force this issue. He says, all right, I can't get by the 14 car without roughing him up. You do it.
But look right behind them. Kevin Harvick in the 29 right there. There's some side-by-side racing. And Dale Earnhardt Jr. at 8. They're right up to the rear bumper of Jeff Gordon.
Hamlin led that lap. He's going to win the battle, and Gordon can't get inside. Here comes Harvick.
And you see what Denny does. Denny's not cautious. He just drives it in under Sterling and says, I got to go. I'm in the lead now.
That's right. You are going to be lapped.
Yeah. And I think Denny's car's a little bit better on entry, and that got him a shot underneath the Sterling. Now you watch. Jeff will follow right through.
I like what I'm seeing here, Darrell, because several years ago, Kevin Harvick would have just sent it in there just to see what happened. This time he backed off, gave Jeff Gordon the bottom, and he's going to follow through past Marlin.
Mike, we've only run 140 laps. That's a long way to go yet.
Oh, Hamlin and Sauter got together, going down into turn 1, and Hamlin hopped the curb.
I see, that's where Jeff Gordon, and Jeff says, I can't get through these lap cars without roughing them up. So he knows Hamlin you know, a little bit younger, a little more aggressive. You go up there and knock them out of our way.
And that's what he had to do to get Johnny Sauter in the yellow transportation chip.
Jeff Gordon doesn't want to beat his nose up.
But because all of this is going on, we talked about Kevin Harvick, Dale Earnhardt Jr. Now Jamie McMurray in the 26, Tony Stewart in the 20. They've pulled up to the back of this group. We got the top 6 cars right there together.
Now it's Stremme just ahead of the leader. Hamlin pushing Stremme, pushing Yaley through the corner. How about that?
Hamlin's car really gets down into the corner well, and that's where he's able to make these passes. Looked like maybe Jeff was a little too free to do that getting in.
Now, how hard will Yaley run his Joe Gibbs teammate trying to lap him?
He'll be working his radio button pretty hard right now. This is when you plead your case. I know he's my teammate, but I'm leading the race, and would you ask him to please initially let me go?
He actually got into his left rear quarter panel just a little bit right then, getting off into turn 1. There you see the battle for 5th between McMurray and the 26, Stewart and the 20 car.
But notice just right behind Denny Hamlin, who just kind of follows along and lets the old 11 car do all the dirty work.
Big Daddy.
Big Daddy.
Now Hamlin breaks into a bit of open space, and there isn't much of it here. 146 laps complete. You're watching NASCAR on Fox.
Denny Hamlin from Chesterfield, Virginia, driving the number 11 FedEx Chevy.
Caution is out for a 2-car crash, but we're about to have pit stops. Dick Bergman.
And Carl Edwards is pitting just off turn 4. The car a little bit loose off the corner, but better on that run than it has been all day long. Steve.
Kurt Busch says, I can't hold the bottom. I'm loose on late exit. They want a track bar adjustment and air out of the lefts. Matt.
Small air pressure change for the 24 of Jeff Gordon. You saw the 29 of Harvick pushing the 24. That was a concern Harvick had on a previous time. He felt like Gordon was holding him up on pit road. To Krista.
Denny Hamlin says he's getting killed on forward bite. It's going to be a 4-tire change for them. Dale Earnhardt Jr. says he's a little snug in the center. He, too, needs forward bite off the turns.
Krista, I know he may be tight or loose off the corner, but that crew was on it with that 8 car. He's going to come off pit road second with the 8 car gaining 2 spots.
Now you see Dave Blaney's 22 still sitting up in turn number 2. He was not the cause of the caution. He hit the wall in turn 1 after the caution came out. The action all started up in turns 3 and 4.
I bet we got every bit of it. 99 knocks 84 out of the way.
A.J. Allmendinger. That's what actually brought the caution out.
Show you on NASCAR 3D. Give you a little video game view. And that little bit of a bump, and Allmendinger makes a nice little save to keep from hitting the wall. Now down in turn number 1. Now the caution is out.
Caution's out. Staying off the floor. Caution is out.
Just going down there under caution. Right front blew out. You know, Larry, there's something going on now. That's
Brakes
about
just locked up or something here, guys. We just smacked the fence in one.
There's about 3 or 4 right front tires we've seen blown out. Could it be brake heat? Could it be camber? Could it be what kind of an issue we got going on here?
I can't help but think how hard Dave Blaney was racing a while ago with Sterling Marlin in that 14 car trying to stay on the lead lap. I would probably, if I had to guess, I'd probably say brake heat.
That, or is the splitter? No, not on the right front unless he gets into somebody's left rear. So got to be brake heat.
So Blaney is finally pushed to his pit for repairs. We'll push on over to this week's State Farm Safety Report. Here's Jeff Hammond.
In an effort to make the driver's cockpit safer, NASCAR decided during the building of the COT car to make the greenhouse or the roll cage area taller. Now, the reason for this, folks, is real simple. In the event these cars do get up on their lids and slide around in the event of a crash, they decided the extra 2.5 inches that you now see in the COT car will make it much safer for the drivers, not only the aspect of keeping their heads away from the racetrack, but also making the window openings easier for them to get out in the event of an accident. All of this in the interest of safety.
Thanks, Jeff. For more info, log on to foxsports.com. Krista can update us on Denny Hamlin, our leader.
Well, Denny Hamlin had to overcome a little bit of an obstacle on that stop. He said he couldn't read his pit road speed. He had problems with his tachometer. The needle was down. He got on the radio and said, now there's a first. Matt Yoakum.
And that's exactly what Billy O'Day, Harvick's spotter, told him. He said the 11 was actually trying to gauge his pit road speed off of Gordon and yourself. So that's why you guys were playing bumper tag. And Harvick said, well, I felt like the 24 of Gordon was brake checking me on the first 2 stops, so I guess we're even. And Billy says, now let's just call it even from here on out. Remember, the front, much more vulnerable than the rear bumper.
Hamlin, Earnhardt, Gordon, Harvick, Stewart. 5 Chevys, then McMurray's Ford, Johnson and Kyle Busch, Kurt Busch's Dodge, and Carl Edwards Ford, your top 10.
You know, let's talk about why qualifying is so important here, especially sitting on the pole for a 500-lap race. You pick pits by how you qualify. That's Denny Hamlin's pick right there. He has no one in front of him, and that's the reason he's able to win the battle, because all he has to do is beat the other cars that are right there. It's another reason Jeff Gordon has had so much success here. He qualifies good.
Boy, Dale Jr. had a terrible restart. I think he must have spun the tires because actually Jeff Gordon got into the back of him as they come to get to green.
They are second and third with 2 lapped cars separating them from the leader. Johnny Sauter and Casey Kane, both 1 lap down.
And they're battling to try to be the first car 1 lap down to get a free pass should we get a caution.
Like J.J. Yaley did on the last caution flag.
And you know, we've had 5 cautions. 3 of those cautions, Matt Kenseth was just about to go a lap down. He was about to go a lap down that time in the 17 car.
Jeff Gordon is wearing old Junebug out right here now. He's got to look at it. He's looking every which way he can.
Almost hooked him there, Darrell, coming off 2.
He's nerfed him a couple of times. I think what Jeff is seeing is that 11 car kind of disappearing.
Getting further and further out there while these guys are trapped behind Johnny Sauter and especially Casey Kane in the 9 lap down cars.
Plus, Darrell, isn't it a lot easier on your race car once you get clear of that lap traffic?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you get cool air into your brakes, so brake heat is not as big a deal, and you don't have to use as much brakes. Everything you do here is based on how much brake am I using. And when you can get in a position where you don't use as much, it's good, right, Jeff?
That's right, Darrell. And the thing is, when I was listening to you guys talk earlier, as a winner here at Martinsville, and you see guys like Denny Hamlin taking off the rabbit, we a lot of times call him. You knowing what's going on, like Jeff Gordon, he's won here this 7 times. Sometimes you let a guy like that go on out there and wear his stuff out because you know you're pacing yourself, saving those brakes, conserving something, because really, when you really need it, it's the last 100 laps of this race, not the first 100.
And Jeff, I just think that's one of the unknowns. We talked about it at the top of the show, how much brake these guys were using in practice, and I'm not sure a lot of them know what their brakes are going to be like the last 100 laps of this race.
I think the big unknown is the box, that the air box for the brake coolers themselves. It's totally different than what the teams have used in the past. It's a lot different configuration where you hook your brake hoses and all. Doesn't look to me like, just looking at it, it would get near the air that the old boxes got.
And this is what NASCAR mandated on every one of the cars of the new COT car, the car tomorrow.
Yeah, that's an area where I don't know that I would mandate anything. You got to put up there what you need to get the job done.
Where that opening is, the size of the duct, the shape of the duct, how many outlets it has, that is all now to one specification, and the teams are no longer allowed to take and look at that area as they used to and improvise.
Darrell, as I look at Kevin Harvick in the 29 car, of course the Busch Series off this weekend, but the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race here yesterday on Fox, you made a great comment. With the unknowns of the car tomorrow, if you were a driver, you would have wanted to participate in that race yesterday like Kevin Harvick did when he finished 4th.
When we look at the car that we're running today, the car of tomorrow, if you want to call it that, it looks like a truck. From the windshield forward, it's got the same nose, same splitter, and same everything. And as a matter of fact, having driven both of them, it drives like a truck. It's kind of slow to turn in the middle of the corner, and that's what these guys are dealing with. So practice here in a truck yesterday would have been valuable.
Now, you said Kevin Harvick finished 4th yesterday. Didn't he get spun out with about 50 laps to go? So that was quite a comeback.
It really was. He had the whole right side of that thing all smashed in, but he was coming.
Riding with outside pole sitter Jamie McMurray, chasing Tony Stewart for 5th place. Kevin Harvick ahead, Jeff Gordon up in 3rd, Junior in 2nd, and they're all chasing Denny Hamlin, who led 28 laps here last October, finishing 2nd.
NASCAR Nextel Cup Racing on Fox is sponsored by Singular, now the new AT&T. By TGI Fridays Restaurant's new right portion, right price menu. Give me more Fridays. By the auto parts experts at AutoZone. Get in the zone. AutoZone. And by the new Ford Super Duty, built to work harder for you.
No changes in the top 5. Denny Hamlin still your leader. In 2 weeks, Nextel Cup coverage on Fox continues from Texas, 1:30 p.m. Eastern on Sunday. Then we'll go to Phoenix Saturday, April 21st, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and Talladega Sunday, April 29th. Coverage at 1:30 Eastern on high definition right here on Fox. Coverage resumes in 2 weeks.
So we get Easter off, is what I'm hearing there.
Yes.
Very nice.
Let me tell you, while I'm watching this, the 8 cars in solids put 2nd position, but there's 2 cars right behind the 24 here that are creeping slowly up behind him. That'd be the 29 and the 20, a little bit quicker on the racetrack. I'm not sure Jeff's car is like he'd like it to be right now. He's kind of slowed down on the clock here, and he's falling back a little bit.
And behind Tony a good distance, Jimmy Johnson has moved up into 6th place, passing his teammate Kyle Busch and the 26 of Jamie McMurray.
That 48, though, compared to how they were on Friday and Saturday, I know they completely rebuilt this car after qualifying, changed everything suspension-wise, but the engine, trailing arms, A-frame, spring shocks, everything. Went out and ran that package yesterday morning, did not like that, rebuilt it again. Looks like they pretty much are right on the money today.
And Larry, that black streak that we see through the turns, that's rubber buildup. Right now it's just building up on it. It hadn't started to ball up yet. But once they get a little bit more rubber down, you're going to start to see those rubber balls in the corners that the guys are going to have to deal with.
The marbles, as we call them. Dave Blaney back on track after the problem he had in turn 1. Steve?
Hey, Mike, you guys were just talking about the marbles. It is starting to build up because that's what's bothering Kurt Busch in the 2 car. And, you know, we talked about all the unknowns. When the caution came out last time, Kurt told Roy McCauley, I can't hold the bottom and I'm loose on late exit, but I don't know what to ask for. That's just another example of these unknowns. I've never heard Kurt Busch say that.
Well, these cars are set up so differently. The track bar used to drag the ground on these cars. I mean, you're talking 8 inches. Now they found that because of the high roll center of these taller cars, they got to raise the roll center. So now instead of saying lower the track bar, the driver's not sure if he wants to lower it, he's not sure if he wants to raise it. And these cars don't like a lot of wedge. So now you don't know whether to put wedge in or take wedge out.
Yeah, just the center of gravity of these cars are so much higher. You heard Steve Burns make the comment last week that Elliott Sadler told him it's like getting out of your little sports car, the current car, and going to your SUV with this car tomorrow. The cars just want to roll a lot more in the corners.
Race leader Denny Hamlin about to put a lap on David Rudiman. That'd be the 4th today.
Yeah, David's just really loose, not being able to really go anywhere. And David's got a lot of laps around this place. Here's Juan Pablo. He's looking pretty good.
Pulling up on Regan Smith in the Army 01. Steve?
Hey, Mike, an update on Juan Pablo Montoya. Since the drop of the green flag, he's been saying that his race car is tight, but he is such a smart racer. He's been asking his spotter, Tab Boyd, how the 41 car of Reed Sorensen is doing. Sorensen was better than he early in the race.
But I tell you what, Juan Pablo Montoya still hanging out in the top 20, still on the lead lap. I would say that's the biggest mission of this team today, is just run all of these laps here in this 500 laps.
Larry, I've seen guys come here, stock car drivers, guys that have experience in these kind of cars, and not be able to figure this joint out. I mean, just buffalo them. I haven't noticed that. I don't think we've been anywhere yet that Juan Pablo wasn't pretty good right off. I mean, he adapts so quickly. That's the thing that's been so impressive.
I agree. Now, Martin Truex had been in 10th. He was just passed by Clint Boyer, but he made his first appearance in the top 10 today after winning both of the early practices this weekend. Krista?
Well, the condition he's been facing most of this race has been tight off of both ends of the corners. But his crew chief, Kevin Bono-Mannion, just got on the radio and told Martin that he is finally killing the other cars off both the corners. You know, Martin Truex has been so hard on himself these last few races because they have had such good cars. He said in the Busch Series, he could just jump in the thing, sit on the pole, win races. He is really being hard on himself, but they do have a great car.
Well, Krista, I tell you, that's not good news for his team, because a driver has to have self-confidence. He's got to believe in himself. And if he's got a problem with that, he needs to go find somebody that can help him with it, because that'll get you down and that'll bring the whole team down.
Absolutely.
And some of these guys, Larry, I mean, I know that a couple of these guys are seeing psychologists, sports psychologists. They're working on their mental attitudes, where they don't let negatives outweigh them and get them down.
There's a lot of guys that's doing it. I've been watching this orange 31 car here. Jeff Burton finished second last week at Bristol. He started back in the 19th position. He's been marching his way to the front, slowly but surely, sitting here with 4 top 5 finishes in 2007, right now in the 13th position.
On the left of your screen, Jeff Gordon had stalked Dale Earnhardt Jr. lap after lap, and finally Jr. had enough. Gave Gordon the bottom. Tony Stewart came right through with him.
Junebug's car's gone all to pot, let me tell you. Starting to slide up the hill and got some huge problems.
Let's ride with him, Darrell.
How long he's completely off the throttle, how long it takes him to get to 100%.
Well, and not only that, but look how much higher up the racetrack he is than Tony Stewart. I mean, he's sliding up there. He's not driving up there.
And what you just heard him say is the forward bite is worse. That's one reason he can't let the throttle down. The rear wheels are wanting to spin when he puts the throttle down. It's been about 40 to 45 laps since we last pitted.
He can't get down around the bottom. He can't get by David Ruderman because David's got the outside, and he can't even clear him because he can't get back in the gas. Now he does, but without David's help. These long greens now, that changes a lot of things, man. This is when you'll have a brake issue because you don't have a chance to cool them down. And if you're running hard trying to pass people, this is when you're going to know if you're going to have a brake issue or not.
Mike Bliss going to fall a couple laps down here to Denny Hamlin, who leads as we close in on lap 200.
Come on, Tony boy. I thought you won Martinsville last year. Keep up. The way you're playing now, you should be on the junior varsity. Yeah, that's original.
Hammond's a car length behind.
Hit him! Hit him!
No.
And the game hit him. Don't hit him.
Sorry. Okay, let's make a pit stop.
Sounds like a personal problem.
I have to go to the bathroom.
Well, sounds like your fault, not mine.
Oh, I don't think you'll be climbing the fence after this one. Smoke.
It's my favorite part of that whole bit. Right at the end there. Denny Hamlin is still your leader. Tony is third behind Jeff Gordon. You see Gordon working under Jeremy Mayfield as we listened in while Jeff Gordon was trying to chase down the leader.
What we're missing here, guys, because I'm running pretty hard and it feels good. They're pulling away and catching me. That was a great lap right there. Great lap. No, I'm just running too hard to do it, though.
And I think what that backs up, Darrell, we talked about the success Jeff Gordon has had here. He knows how hard he should be running that car here at lap 200.
Yeah, I mean, right now I guarantee he's running about 90%.
And each time Denny Hamlin runs into a knot of race traffic, Jeff Gordon closes right back up on him to let Hamlin open the door so that Jeff, Tony Stewart, the rest of the leaders can follow through.
Yeah, Denny's very aggressive. He's really good in traffic. His car's handling good enough that he can get under people, kind of roots them up out of the way when he has to. Gordon wants to stay close by to kind of follow through.
One thing I did notice, the guy that came in here fourth in the points, Matt Kenseth, in that 17 car, he didn't get the caution this time when he needed. He is now a lap down back in 22nd position. We have 21 cars on the lead lap.
And you know, it's funny. I know Jamie's running pretty good today, but the Roush cars as a whole never run that well here. And I always wondered if it was something in the setup, the spindles and A-frames and all that they ran in the old car. But, of course, this is a totally different car with the 66 just went up the hill, but he didn't hit anything. See that? I've seen that a number of times. Cars go into turn 3 and just take off like the brakes are locking up.
We just saw Greg Biffle in the 16 car. He's in the 14th position. Here's his teammate David Reagan in the 6th, 1 lap down, right behind Matt Kenseth.
Yeah, they're racing for position, and he just gave Matt the boot.
Well, they're trying to fight to be that first car a lap down where they could get the free pass. Now Denny Hamlin is going by Tony Raines in the 96 car, and Tony's in the 20th position, but looks like he's going to go a lap down. But while Denny Hamlin's battling Tony Raines, here comes Jeff Gordon in the 24, Tony Stewart in the 20, right up to the rear bumper, because Denny's been fighting lap cars here for several laps.
Darrell, nearly 300 laps to go. Can Denny Hamlin keep up this aggressive pace and still have a car at 500 laps?
Well, he's a young guy, and let me tell you, he impresses me on the flatter racetracks. Think about Pocono, won them both last year. Think about the road course, Mexico, won the Busch race. This track is flat. It runs a lot like a road course. I think he's doing a really great job, and I don't think he's abusing his car.
Jeremy Mayfield in the wall.
There's a right front down, and like I said, this is when you build all that brake heat because of no cautions, no time to slow down and cool them off.
We're getting a caution now because of Jeremy Mayfield in that 36 car.
Down now.
This will be the 6th caution of the afternoon. It comes working lap 218.
It's been about 60 laps since that last restart. So we'll see pit road very, very busy.
See what happened to Mayfield. Watch the green and black 36.
Just the right front. I don't know if the tire went down and that got him in. I think that's what got him in the wall, right front tire.
Just on the exit of turn 4.
Right.
Well, it's feeding time on pit road, boys. There they all are. All 19 of the lead lap cars.
And Tony Raines will get the free pass.
Should be 4 tires for everybody, Steve.
Larry, Matt, Kurt Busch saying he's starting to feel a vibration in the right front. They're going to raise the track bar 2 rounds and make a wedge adjustment, Matt.
Steve Letarte, Jeff Gordon, crew chief says, I know you're pushing it, but the rotors look good. It doesn't look like you're over-abusing it. Meanwhile, Tony Stewart, whose service is already complete, 13.9, says his car really has great forward bite. To Kristen.
Denny Hamlin said the car is cutting the center well, but he still needs a little bit more at the drive up. Oh, a little bit of a stop. They have to come back. This is going to be a very bad stop for the 11. They had to drive it back into the pit, working on the left front tire.
He's going to lose a ton of positions. He's going to go from leading to probably outside the top 10.
NASCAR Nextel Cup Racing on Fox is sponsored by Allstate, official insurance sponsor of NASCAR.
6 caution flags so far. We are 28 laps from halfway. Tony Stewart took the lead on pit stops. Jeff Gordon, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Kevin Harvick, Jimmy Johnson, Denny Hamlin came in first, came out 10th. We're set for the restart.
And I observed Denny Hamlin's pit stop. They had trouble with the jack on the right side, then the lug nut problem on the left front later on in the stop.
Get that out of the way. Get all those bad stops out of the way now, because obviously that's going to affect him for a while.
And Darrell, pretty much as we have anticipated, Jeremy Mayfield, the 36 car, it melted the bead, which is all about brake heat.
These guys are just not, there's not enough air going to the brakes on these cars. Jeff Green's got a brake issue. I think a number of these cars that have had trouble, I think NASCAR, I'm not totally sure, but there's a restriction on how many blowers you can have under the hood versus the way they used to be to cool the beads of the tires. A lot of things that I think I'm going to have to revisit here.
Well, I know what Jeff Gordon's going to revisit in this 24 car. He's going to revisit the lead of this thing. He'll take the lead here at lap 225, drives by Stewart in the 20.
Well, that's how you keep your brakes in cool and how you keep your car in good shape. Get out front.
Jeff Gordon leads for the third time today. Hamlin has led the most laps. Gordon, Stewart, Earnhardt, Harvick, Johnson, and Kyle Busch all in Chevys. Jamie McMurray 7th in a Ford. Kurt Busch 8th in a Dodge. The first Toyota is Dale Jarrett in 31st.
Kevin Harvick tried to dive to the inside of Matt Kenseth in the 17. Matt didn't try to block him. He was trying to get out of the way. They almost got together halfway down the backstretch. Matt Kenseth, again, a lap down back in 21st.
But Kenseth is in the free pass position.
That'd be about the best thing that's happened to him today, because otherwise he hadn't had much fun.
Or the weekend, for that matter.
It's just hard to believe that a team can have a car that is as good as that 17 is week in and week out and struggle the way they have here this weekend.
The Earnhardt Jr. car, the 8 car, he's just so good through the middle of the corner, but it's really a lot on fresh tires. You just had mentioned at the long end of that 60-lap run right there, his car was starting to go away, but he just drives by. Tony Stewart in the 20 takes over second.
Normally having a car good here on a short run is not a bad thing, because you don't get a lot of long runs under normal circumstances. So he falls off some at the end of the run, but I think he'll be all right.
This is the second race for NASCAR's Car of Tomorrow. Only 4 drivers have started in the top 10 in both, and they've been contenders in both. Jeff Gordon, Tony Stewart, Jamie McMurray, Denny Hamlin.
Speaking of Denny Hamlin in the 11 car, we mentioned after the problems of pit stop, he comes out in 10th. That's exactly where he is marred up behind Clint Boyer in the 07. Denny's still in the 10th position, but he's boxed in right now with other lead lap cars, plus cars that are lap down like Reed Sorensen in the 41.
Darrell, this looks like a situation where it would be real easy for Hamlin to use up too much of his race car.
Yeah, I'm sure he's not happy. He's a young guy. He's probably got a little upset. This is when everybody's got to get in there and tell him to calm down, take it easy, we'll get it back.
They've got the right pit selection to make up ground. They've just got to have solid pit stops to do it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, when you got a car that was leading the race and you're in the 8th position over there and then you lose 10 spots, driver's probably not real happy right now.
We're listening in on Jeff Gordon and team.
Hi, buddy. The weather is fine like it is all day. There's a pretty decent cell. It's coming at us. It's 50-50 whether it's going to go above us, but it's kind of closing in behind it. I still question if we're going to go a full 280 more laps,
Whoa, trouble for Gordon.
Because
Gordon's off the pace. That looks like a tire issue. No, it's worse than that.
He did not come to pit road that time.
No, that's why I'm thinking maybe it's not a tire.
See what it is. I got a flat or something. The left front there.
It's not the right side.
Look up. I can't tell, buddy. What you got?
None of the tires look down.
No, I don't see it.
Straight when I went in the corner.
I think it just locked up the brakes is what I think happened to it. Confused him. He thought he had a tire down. Seen that happen to a number of guys. They just go in the corner, lock up, and go straight.
Let's show it to you.
It's coming down into turn 1 here. You can. I just think it was. I think it locked up the right front slightly. I think all these drivers are so skeptical of this car, and there's so little knowledge that goes along with it, that if something odd happens, they don't know what to make out of it. It confuses them.
And then as you've seen as many tires blow a bead out, you even get more cautious about things, Matt.
And that was one concern that Jeff Gordon had coming into the race. He said it was very easy here in Martinsville with this new COT to overdrive the corner. He hasn't said anything lately. Now he's just trying to settle back in. Now he's all the way back in 11.
Darrell, here's another possibility. The leader cleans the track for everybody. If he gets down into that corner, there's marbles or something there, the car skates, it's a car you've only run once before, what are you going to do? Think you got a problem with the car.
Yeah, and particularly this car. I think everybody's expecting the worst. I think everybody's saying, the car's bad. Oh, something's wrong with my car.
That's it. So Gordon gets back on pace, but back at 11th place, 8 seconds behind the leader, who is now Dale Earnhardt Jr.
I just know I've seen a number of cars go in the corner, third turn particularly, and just shoot up the racetrack. I just think they're locking the brakes up slightly and losing the front end. I think that may be what happened to Jeff.
It's big, it's bad, it's victory red. You go to foxsports.com/Silverado for a chance to meet Dale Jr. and drive away in his all-new 2007 Chevy Silverado.
But you know the other thing, he knew that he wasn't sure. That's why he didn't come to pit road. Smart. He had to figure it out.
It's almost halfway. I'm ready for a hot dog. What do you think?
Where's the hot dog man?
I want some ice cream.
Caution is out for the 7th time today. You're looking at the reason why. Casey Kane spins around.
With help.
Watch for his number 9 Dodge on the outside of Greg Biffle.
The Biff got on the curb, hopped out into the racetrack. Unfortunately, Casey Kane in the 9 was going by.
Now, since it had only been about 15-20 laps since that last caution, a lot of our guys stayed out, but I feel like that was a huge break for cars like Jeff Gordon because we had 7 lead lap cars that come to pit road. That way they can look at the tires on that 24 car, make him feel a lot better about what he's got, and he's got 4 fresh tires.
Other thing I like, now I'm out of sequence to some degree with the other guys.
All right, well, we found the hot dog man. We're going to enjoy some delicious Martinsville hot dogs and see what they're serving down in the Hollywood Hotel.
I'm with Hot Dog Hammond, who's glued to his seat.
That's right.
Watching
going anywhere
this
today.
exciting. Dale Earnhardt Jr., though, who led 1 lap prior to coming into this race, is your leader and comes in on a good note. Some early moments that were tough for guys like Bobby Labonte. Brake failure took him into the wall. It was a tire problem. Watch this as it explodes. And Robbie Gordon, single car owner, 21st in points, come again looking for a sponsor, saves it from hitting the wall. Denny Hamlin, who has dominated most of this race, pit problems.
Yeah, he had problems on both the right side with the Jackman Chris Webb, and on the left side, Jackman actually drops it a little too quick before they get a lug nut on there. They had to come stop and basically lost a ton of doggone track position. Now he's got to start in the back and work his way back up.
Also some problems in the pits for Jeff Gordon, but Dale Earnhardt Jr. comes in with 3 straight top 15s. He's led the most laps he's led this year and hoping to hang on. Long way to go.
I got a long way to go, but it looks good seeing that number 8 up front.
Let's check in with Matt for an update on Jeff Gordon.
Steve Letarte, Jeff Gordon's crew chief, just looked over the tires that came off of Gordon's car. He told Jeff the wheels and tires all looked good. He said the brakes looked good as well. Gordon said it sounded to him like he ran over something, like a piece of rubber, and it wrapped around the tire. All apparently appears to be good, though, Mike, down here on the 24.
Thanks, Matt. We'll be halfway in the Goody's Cool Orange 500 the next time they come by. This will be halfway as we get the restart. Matt Kenseth got the free pass. He is back on the lead lap.
Again.
Here we go from our DLP Ultimate Picture cam. We're back under green.
There's a guy back there. You see behind the 9 car, the 48. Larry, he's just been diligently working to the front, slowly but methodically.
Jimmy Johnson, that 48 car, started back in 20th. We talked about it earlier in the race. Struggled Friday, struggled Saturday, but they've been marching their way to the front.
Slowest car in practice yesterday. I mean, it wasn't even close.
Get the door.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Domino's. Congratulations to Jeff Gordon. 50% of you picked him to lead our Domino's hot lap. And in fact, we'll get a ruling here on who the first of our 5 drivers was to cross the start-finish line. First, I believe, was Jamie McMurray, who was in 7th place. So thanks to everybody who participated. And remember, you're all automatically entered to win the Ultimate Fan Experience from Domino's at the Michigan race this August.
You know, we just mentioned Jimmy Johnson, his teammate Kyle Busch. We just saw him go by Kevin Harvick in the 29. That puts Kyle up in the 4th position.
Yeah, and I was going to say about Jamie McMurray, been doing a great job. We haven't talked about him a lot, but he's been hanging around in the top 10, and the car looks decent.
And Darrell, you mentioned Martin Truex Jr. earlier, the one car. Krista made the report about his confidence. I think the opposite with Jamie McMurray. I think at one point last year his confidence was so low, but with every good run he has in that 26 car, I think his confidence just gets bigger and better.
You know why? Because he's got a great cheerleader now.
Larry Carter.
Yeah.
This is Jamie's first front row start since Infineon Raceway, the road course last June. He also started outside pole in this race last year as he tries to close up on Kevin Harvick, dealing with a lapped car, the number 9 of Casey Kane.
Well, I tell you, Harvick and Kane, not any love lost there, doesn't seem like. They've been beating on each other pretty good.
"21 cars on the lead lap. Matt Kenseth, the last of those, right behind Montoya, who's done a great job of staying on the lead lap through the first half of this race.
Now let's update the two cars that have led over 200 laps of this race. They're side by side right now. The 24 car, Jeff Gordon, came in and pitted a while ago after thought he had a problem for that last caution. Denny Hamlin, the 11, Jeff Hammond, talked about the problems he had on pit road. Right now they're side by side for 14th.
And they're about 1/2 lap behind the leader, Kristen.
Well, Denny Hamlin's car had been getting very tight, so they put the air pressure back where it was before that last stop. Now the problem, all this traffic, the car is starting to overheat. The water temperature on the 11 FedEx Express Chevrolet up to 250.
And that would not be the first car that I've heard it was overheating. I got a report a while ago, David Gilliland in the 38 car, he was starting to overheat.
And if you look at the nose of these cars and the way they take care, and it's all above that splitter and in that hole back up below the bumper, all this area down in here, down in there, that gets full of rubber. I mean, that's one thing this joint will do. It'll get a lot of loose rubber flying around, and it can stop that grill opening up.
But one thing I noticed, look at the nose of Jeff Gordon's car. No tape on the nose, nor the bottom nor the top. But when I look at the 11 car, I'm seeing a little bit of tape up there on that top opening. I just have never believed in running any tape on the nose here at Martinsville because of the lack of airflow, especially on the unknown of this car tomorrow.
Well, that, and then if you beat around a little bit and you close that opening up a little bit and you got tape on it too, you're asking for trouble. This is a no tape race. Put that in the notebook.
Got it.
Dale Jr. out in front of Tony Stewart now by 2.2 seconds. And Jimmy Johnson up to third and closing on Stewart. Jeff Burton in 9th place behind Kurt Busch. Time for our second AT&T Singular Virtual Crew Chief question. What's your favorite short track? Bristol, Martinsville, or Richmond? That's a tough one. So text the word crew to 191 on your AT&T Singular wireless phone to vote. Singular's the new AT&T.
But you know, as we ride with Jeff Burton here in his 31 car, we talked about him earlier. He has made his way up there into the top 10, running 9th, actually battling Kurt Busch in the 2 right now for 8th. A lot like last week at Bristol. Now all 3 of the Childers cars up there in the top 10 solidly.
They've done a lot of work with this car, Larry. The Childers group has. They've done a lot of testing. They're probably as good, as well prepared with this car as any team here.
And you know, the one amazing thing as I walk through the garage area, almost every team brought a different car tomorrow than they raced last week at Bristol. But the Childers cars, all 3 of these cars are the exact cars they raced last week.
Last thing, if there's so many unknowns and we talk about them all the time, last thing I want to bring in a car that another new car I don't know anything about either.
I'd like to finish my hot dog, please. What do you think, Mike?
I'd like another one.
All right, you got it.
Dale Earnhardt Jr., your leader.
You got to be willing to fight for it.
NASCAR Nextel Cup Racing on Fox is sponsored by Q, the heat-activated oil that helps maximize the power of your engine. Unleash all your horses. By Warner Brothers' new motion picture, The Reaping, in theaters Thursday, April 5th. By State Farm, great service, great rates. Nobody takes care of you like State Farm. And by Domino's Double Zero Deal, the official pizza of NASCAR.
Here's our Q Motor Oil race summary. Denny Hamlin led 125 laps, and then you saw the miscue right here where he lost the lead in the pits Jeff Gordon led 92 laps of this race. 7-time winner here. And thought he had a tire down. Dale Jr. took the lead. Gordon recovered and got back up to speed in 11th spot. So Dale Jr. out front on lap 235. That was 40 laps ago.
Tell you what, the car that Jeff Gordon's battling right now, that 24 car, Ryan Newman in the 12, we really not mentioned him today, spun out his first lap of qualifying the other day, still came back on lap 2 to qualify 24th, but he's just been staying real steady, just inside, just outside the top 10, Ryan Newman in the 12.
More bad news for the leaders. All 43 starters are now back on the racetrack. Bobby Labonte's repaired his car, and so has Casey Mears. So all these cars still running. There's Labonte minus the left front sheet metal.
Now here's a little guy in the number 6 car, David Reagan. I've been watching him. 24th, 1 lap down. But you know, guys, he got ran out of here the last race on a rail and actually got grounded. He was going to run the next week, and they wouldn't let him because he had hit everything here but the pace car, and I'm not sure he didn't hit it.
Had a lot of issues. Yeah, he's the only rookie of the year candidate that actually raced here in the fall race.
Doing a good job today. I've been watching him. He's real cautious, keeping his nose clean, and got a pretty good car.
He drives for Jack Roush. He's one of Roush's 5 cars in this race as you watch leader Dale Earnhardt Jr. trying to lap Johnny Sauter. There's so much about stock car racing on the internet these days, much of it written by mainstream media professionals who are held accountable by their paycheck for what they do, and a lot of it is spread by fans, some of it's opinion, some facts, some rumor. So when the story got on the internet this morning that Jack Roush was withdrawing all 5 teams for Martinsville and going home, the rumor spread on the internet like wildfire until people started checking their calendar. April 4th.
Oh, okay.
I told Hammond that Rick Hendrick had just called me and wanted me to come down and stand by to drive the 24 car.
And I bet Hammond believed you.
Yeah, but he's also, Hammond's the one I asked if he knew how many teams was in the Final 4. he wasn't sure.
Notice that all 5 Roush cars are in the race. Folks, don't believe everything you read. McMurray running in 5th. Is the highest place Ford and the highest of Jack Roush's teams. This is not Tony Stewart's first race of the weekend. Here's Matt.
Mike, Thursday night, Kevin Harvick added the title of promoter to his racing resume when he invited a number of people from the NASCAR community to the first annual KH Invitational. He drafted in wife Delana to work as the flagger. Tony Stewart Harvick had a spirited battle through the 3-segment event of 2 heats and a feature, and it was Stewart who took the 50-lap feature win, followed by Gale and Harvick. But of course, you have to have the hardware when you win a race. Although it's not the grandfather clock, it's a pretty special little trophy. And as you notice, they are on a budget, so they had to use duct tape when they put the year 2007 on it, just setting up the October repeat of the Fall Brawl when we come back to Martinsville.
And Matt, the challenge between Tony Stewart and Kevin Harvick, it didn't stop Thursday night. It moved into qualifying day here on Friday. I think Kevin Harvick said that if they raised $100,000 for charity, that he would challenge Tony Stewart to get his back and his chest waxed. Tony Stewart came back at Kevin Harvick and said, you know what? I'll throw $100,000 in if we just shave Kevin Harvick's head. So I don't think that battle is just over just yet.
It's a whole new meaning to wax on, wax off.
But please. 286 laps complete. Dale Jr. leading Tony Stewart by 3 seconds. And here's Ricky Rudd, second Ford in the race, 12 seconds out of the lead, 13.
Well, I've been watching this car here, Ricky Rudd in the 88 car, and then right behind him, Kenny Schrader in the 21 car qualified fourth. Those 2 drivers.
Trouble for Kevin
Harvick, the 29 car, is in trouble. In fact, he's coming to pit road, it looks like.
And not very fast either.
And he better not be fast right there, Matt Yoakum, 30 miles per hour on pit road.
Larry Mackey came on the radio. Harvick says the car has no fuel pressure.
Wow.
Well, let's
want to gamble. Want to make a bet?
Well, let's go back to Bristol last week. The Waterman fuel pressure system, the fuel pump system, and again, normally it's not the fuel pump itself. It's the cable. It's the cable that drives it off the back of the oil pump. That's what happened to Tony Stewart last week at Bristol. They're going to go behind the wall. I'm quite confident it'll be that cable.
When the pump's way in the back, the engine's in the front, that cable drive, if the cable encounters any resistance, it twists. That shortens the cable, tends to pull that hex out. And from my understanding, some folks that use these cables in sprint cars emailed me and said perhaps the cable in a stock car is too long to be effective.
Well, and there's also a process that the hex is put on the cable that goes in the back of the oil pump. It's a crimping process. I actually talked to Sid Waterman this week that makes the system, and he said, Larry, we have actually stepped up our process after the problem that Stewart had last week, and now we have a jig where it's almost bulletproof, but we don't know that this is not a cable that was made earlier before this process in the 29.
I think the reason people at home might say, well, why are they running the thing if it's going to break? Well, the new Chevrolet engine that they're going to start running, I think next week or 2 weeks in Texas, it doesn't have a fuel pump. It doesn't have the fuel pump like we're accustomed to. So they're having to develop this system for that new engine.
And a bit of growing pains, perhaps, this week for Kevin Harvick. Dale Earnhardt Jr. leads Tony Stewart by 1.8 seconds.
Welcome back at Martinsville. Tony Stewart putting pressure on Dale Earnhardt Jr. for the lead. Don't forget Saturday, 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific, and that's the time every Saturday for Major League Baseball on Fox. You'll see some of the great games. I was talking to David Wright of the Mets recently, who's become a big NASCAR fan. He's a big Tony Stewart fan.
Well, right now, Chris, Tony Stewart has got Dale Earnhardt Jr. in a squeeze play. You know what I'm talking about. A lot of pressure right now being put on from behind, and it looks like give old Tony a lap or two. He may be trying to make a move on the lead here.
He won this race last year. Dale Earnhardt Jr., though, with all that's gone on for him, you know, he's moved up in points the last few races. His fans, the most popular driver in the sport. How important is he makes a move on the outside on race? How important we have problems with Robbie Gordon to the wall.
Yeah, looks like Robbie may have another right front tire going down. And Robbie, during that problem for Robbie Gordon, looks like Tony Stewart has gotten underneath Dale Earnhardt Jr., trapped in there behind the 10-car Scott Riggs, and
Dale Earnhardt Jr. falling behind into second place here, but important for him to be contending. This is his best chance to win a race this year, given that the DEI contract negotiations have been put on hold, as his sister, who's also worked with him in business, finishes up recovering from an operation. He said, we're holding off on that. So there are distractions, whether he wants to admit to that or not.
Yeah, definitely so. It's right there. You see the caution is out because of Robbie Gordon's car has definitely got a right front tire down.
Big drill, right side.
See what happened to the 7 car here.
8th caution of this race. We've had 9 different lead changes, 6 different leaders.
Yeah, we're taking a look right here out of the front of David Ruben's car. Coming off of the turn 2, looks like Robbie's right front tire went down. He got a piece of the outside wall, and that's the reason why we have the caution right now. But during this, prior to the caution coming out, 10 car and 8 car get together, and Tony Stewart takes advantage of both Earnhardt and Riggs beating on each other here and takes the lead.
And Scott Riggs in that 10 car gets the free pass, but Tony Stewart, who again won this race last year, does get in front of Dale Earnhardt Jr. Jimmy Johnson currently 3rd. Kyle Busch, who was last week's winner, 4th. Pretty impressive leaderboard as we have gone 306 laps. Let's check in upstairs with Darrell, Larry, and Mike.
8th caution flag of the day, Chris. Give the pit crews a chance to get to work here. Sorry, we're readjusting here with our hot dogs. These Jesse Jones Franks are so bright red inside that they're a little scary to look at first, but vinegar, slot, chili, and mustard, delicious.
But they do not get much better, I guarantee you.
I'll eat just about anything, but I'm a little skeptical. I never ate that many of them when I came here through the years.
So. It's like going to the ballpark. You got to eat the hot dogs. It's just a thing about Martinsville.
But I'm glad you mentioned the word skeptical, because, you know, how many times do we have to watch this problem with this fuel pump cable? You know, Tony Stewart last week led over half the race. He has a problem. Kevin Harvick comes here 5th in the points. Looks like he has a car that can win this race. Somewhere the rubber meets the road with this. If I was one of these crew chiefs, I wouldn't care if the new engine had it or not. I'd be getting rid of that thing.
I had a theory. I like to stay about 2, maybe 3 months behind on my R&D work.
Well, we got a little R&D work going on pit road now, and I think it's going to call it a pit stop. 4 tires full of fuel here with 193 laps to go, Steve.
Larry, Matt Kurt Busch says he's a little bit concerned about his brakes. They're also going to undo an adjustment they made on the last stop. They're going to go down on the track bar. They're also making air pressure adjustments on that number 2. Matt.
Leader Tony Stewart says his car from about 30 laps on in the run really takes off. It turns better as well. Greg Zipadelli called for a small air pressure change to help the car take off better. Krista?
The 48 of Jimmy Johnson going up 1 round on the track bar. Dale Earnhardt Jr. says his car is good. It's going in the right direction. These pit stops were big because the radar is showing a little bit of a mess on its way.
There's been a storm system brewing off to the southwest, and most of it has been broken up as it comes up and over the Blue Ridge. But some of it may reach Martinsville.
Yeah, there's been a little something brewing here for about the last 308 laps.
I know what was brewing there on that 20 car on their pit stop. They lost 4 positions. Not a good stop for them.
Not sure what's brewing, Darrell. It's not the hot dogs.
Are you sure?
Well, I'm only on my 3rd one. And John Darby and the NASCAR officials took all the rest that were in the box, and they're enjoying them next door.
They were enjoying them.
Yeah, they're gone.
Y'all are just spreading joy everywhere.
Only eat hot dogs at Martinsville and watching Major League Baseball on Fox on Saturdays.
That's what we're going to do next weekend. It's 3:30 Eastern.
New time this year.
I'm going to play like Jed Clampett when he's in Hollywood.
Martin Truex, your leader. Dale Jr. second. Jimmy Johnson, or currently second, rather. What have we here?
That's that fuel pump cable right there. And we've been talking about the hex. That hex is what you saw right there. There you see Danny Lawrence.
I thought he's going to hang himself with it.
But that hex, it's driven off the back of the oil pump, and it's very critical how that thing is put in that oil pump. It doesn't go up in there very far. I know a lot of teams have started making their own. In fact, Greg Zipadelli told me after the problem they had with the 20 car last week at Bristol that they made their own cable, and they put it on a test machine and ran 3.5 Martinsville races. Wow. RPM up, RPM down, cautions and everything.
In 2 weeks, NASCAR moves to Texas. Our coverage begins Friday, the 13th, with Nextel Cup practice on speed, followed by Nextel Cup qualifying. Then on Saturday, April 14th, 2 rounds of Nextel Cup practice, also on speed. Sunday, April 15th, the next day is tax day, but our coverage on Sunday begins with NASCAR race day on speed. The Nextel Cup race is on Fox at 1:30 Eastern Time, followed by NASCAR Victory Lane on speed. So while you're filling out your tax return, watch our coverage of NASCAR in 2 weeks across the Fox networks.
Now that will be with the CFTWA car. What? The car from 2 weeks ago at Atlanta.
Let me write this down. Well, 80% of you think Bristol is your favorite short track. Got to put me in the 2%. I love Martinsville. It's just the history here. It's pretty wonderful as we get a restart, completing lap 312. Dale Jr. in front of Jimmy Johnson and Kyle Busch.
Probably the one thing that they need here that they have at Bristol is lights. That night race, a night race here would be pretty fantastic.
Mike Bliss in that 49 car, of course, he's 4 laps down. He was up there with the leaders, got shoved way up the racetrack in 3 and 4 that last lap.
Yeah,
and this lap.
In the danger zone.
Can't get out of the way.
Or the twilight zone, I don't know which.
It's get all you can get time coming off this restart as teams start to settle down for what they hope will be a long run.
Now, Tony Stewart in the 20 car, he got a really good run off turn 4, but he had to roll completely out of the throttle up on the front straightaway. In the meanwhile, Jeff Gordon in the 24 went by him for the 5th position. Now Tony's fighting back.
The other reason, dark clouds behind us. There's a fear that rain is on the way. The spotters have a look at that. They relay to their drivers. And away we go.
You know how you can tell the race is intensifying and that rain's on the way and that maybe the end's in sight? That blue car with the yellow number on it
suddenly launches toward the front.
He has reared his head.
Jimmy Johnson, the 48, won the race here in the fall, but Jeff, with weather on the way, These guys can't afford mistakes on pit road like Tony Stewart and that 20 car had last time in.
No, we can't, Larry. And what really happened was when I got an opportunity to go back and look at the replay, everything looked really normal on the right side of the car. Guys were really together. Right side comes up, and you see both tire changers. They come off together. Everything's looking like really a solid pit stop. A little minor adjustment there by the catch can guy on the left rear. But once we get around to the left side of the car, the left front comes off really with no problem. Left rear comes off, but they had a little bit of a problem getting all lug nuts tight on the left rear. You clearly see the front tire guy pointing, go, go, go. And even Tony was a little bit slow reacting. Because of that, he loses 4 valuable positions, and it's really got him kind of like mired back here in 6th place right now after that restart.
Jeff, I just wonder if they're having a glue issue. The 11 had a nut fall off. The 20 had a nut fall off. Sometimes that cement that they use, that yellow 3M stuff, doesn't set up right. The lug nuts fall off.
That is teammates, Joe Gibbs Racing.
Yeah, I wonder if they're using a product.
It could be issues like that, Darrell. It also could be brake dust. A lot of times we forget about the rear tire changer when he comes around and he hits that wheel. A lot of times brake dust will fly in your face, and that could have also messed him up. Any number of things, but that little miscue, which cost him about maybe a half a second on the stopwatch, cost him really, more importantly, 4 to 5 positions on the racetrack.
You just saw Jeff Burton cut in front of Carl Edwards to take away 11th place. And look at Junior's lead.
Goodness gracious, he's just checking out.
And I think the grandstands pretty much tell the tale on this. They're pretty much all about 65, 70,000 are standing waving those red flags and hats.
That's the biggest lead we've seen today. 2.6 seconds.
He's doing it pretty easily. Right now, he's a good 2/10 quicker than anybody else on the racetrack. He's running 2050. Everybody else is 70s and 80s.
And Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Jimmy Johnson in the 48 second. They just ran the fastest lap they've run in this race about 3 or 4 laps ago on lap 318. So they're definitely hooked up now here with about 177 laps to go.
Plus, if it's cooling down a little bit, you know, got rain in the area and it's cooling down, that's going to pick up some grip on the racetrack as well, which will pick up the speeds.
Now Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 8 car. Cars are starting to get strung out a little bit, but it's not that far from to catching the tail end of the field, and that'll just bring Jimmy Johnson in at 48 right up there to it.
But right behind Jimmy, I tell you, a guy that we haven't talked a lot about is Clint Boyer in the 07, another Childress car, and right behind him, last week's winner, Kyle Busch. They are creeping into the picture as well.
Yeah, we've got 3 Hendrick cars in the top 5. Johnson, Kyle Busch, and Jeff Gordon now in 5th.
175 laps to go on NASCAR's shortest track. There is the cause for concern. Those dark clouds, and when you can't see the hills to the west, there's rain out there.
NASCAR Nextel Cup Racing on Fox is sponsored by Toyota. Moving forward.
Toyota's top performers, Dale Jarrett. 25th, Jeremy Mayfield was the best qualifying Toyota. He's now running 33rd after starting this race 13th, and David Rudiman is 35th. Up front, Dale Earnhardt Jr. 2/3 of the way through this race, and he has 2.5 seconds on Jimmy Johnson, and at a track this small, that is a large margin.
These cautions are working just right for Junior, though. His car is awesome for 35, 40, maybe 50 laps. Then he seems to slow, and maybe a Jimmy Johnson or some of these other guys seem to come up. We got a car around turn 4, Strimmy in the 40 car.
Caution will fly.
Well, we've only had 23 laps since the last restart. As
hang on.
9th caution waves. Working lap 336. That erases Dale Jr.'s lead, which had been the largest of the day. You know, on this date, in 1979, his father won his first NASCAR then Winston Cup race, April 1st, 1979 at Bristol.
I was there, but I wasn't here when Richard Petty was 22 years old and won his first race here. Richard was 22 years old first time he won here. That looked like he just spun out there.
David Strimmy in the 40 just totally on his own up there in the second groove above David Gilliland. No contact whatsoever with another car.
J.J. Yaley will get the free pass, and sorry, I neglected to mention that Scott Riggs got the free pass on the prior caution.
But Mike, you make an interesting comment there. It's, as you said, about 23 laps since we made that last stop. You see Dale Earnhardt Jr., the 8 car, swerving back and forth, cleaning his tires off. That's a pretty good indication that he may not be coming to pit road here with 163 laps to go. I think we'll probably see, of our 19 cars on the lead lap, we'll see some on back in the field come to pit road. And right now I'm seeing Kyle Busch in the 5 car. One of the few takers looks like Kurt Busch in the 2, and everyone else at the back of the field. So it looks like we'll have about a third to a half of our lead lap cars that will make a pit stop here.
Listen, if staying out now is good, then I would come now and get me some tires, because they got to come the next time. And then if staying out now is okay, then staying out later is going to be better.
Krista?
Well, the 5 is going to be coming in. They're going to take a 4-tire stop as well as a wedge adjustment and an air pressure adjustment, and they definitely need fuel. They did not get the car full of fuel on the last stop.
And you know, I'm sure we're not even completely close to finish with caution flags, but what this will do right here, the fuel window about 140 to 150 laps, but 162 laps right now, you could make that work on making it to the end of this race, and we've already seen how important track position is.
That's what I'm telling you, Larry. I think if the guys would have thought about this, if staying out right now with the laps they got on their tires are good, next time around I'm going to stay out, because I've just come, these guys are all coming out of the pits with fresh tires. They're setting up for a finish. With rain in the area, I don't know.
You got it.
Probably had some effect on it.
Let's get an update on the Kevin Harvick story. Here's Matt.
Danny Lawrence, one of the managers of the RCR engine department. Danny, what part failed?
Well, it's just about the same thing that happened to Tony Stewart last week. A lot of teams have switched to the cable-driven fuel pump that runs off the oil pump. That way, if the motor's not running, it will not pump fuel. And the people that make the pumps realized that there was an issue with Tony, so everybody in the whole garage put new cables in this week. And the coupler that joins the cable from the oil pump to the rear end housing, there's 2 cables in the car. There's a short cable that comes off the oil pump, and then a long cable that goes to the rear end housing, or goes to the rear end where the fuel cell is. The gear drive in the coupler that joins those 2 together stripped out, so the pump stopped turning. We had to replace all the lines to get him going again.
Well, a tough break for Kevin Harvick. He had just climbed from 7th to 5th in the championship standings, and that's part that just came off of Kevin Harvick's Chevrolet. Larry Mack?
Yeah, when Kevin Harvick's car went to the garage area, Matt was telling me at one point during break, a crew member from the 20 car immediately went there to see what was going on with that cable. There you can see the part that failed right there. Just happened to see Jeff Green's 66 car. Darrell, we've been talking about that for about 100 laps. Looks like they're possibly bleeding the brakes, putting more brake fluid in. He's been fighting brake issues for a number of laps now with this 66 car. I think that's what they're doing right there, is actually bleeding the brakes.
Steve?
Yeah, Mike, just talked to the guys on the 66 team. They had the hood up. They were actually adding brake fluid. They think they have a leak in the master cylinder.
We've been talking since the top of the show how important brakes are at this place, running down into the corner over 120 miles per hour and stopping to head back the other direction. Greg Biffle in the 16 car, he's been sitting on pit road for a number of laps. He's going to go back out 6 laps down.
It wouldn't surprise me if the 16 car doesn't have a brake issue, because I don't think I've been here the last 4 years he hadn't had a brake issue.
Getting set for the restart, 20 cars on the lead lap.
Kevin Harvick back out there, Mike, in the 29 car. We just talked about him. Now he's 43 laps down in the 41st position.
You won't hear the rumble of the freight train going by behind the backstretch, but you'll hear the roar of these 43 cars as they come to speed, and we crank it up for you. racing the oncoming rain and each other around Martinsville Speedway. 156 laps to go. Action aplenty mid-pack.
Well, I'll tell you, pushing, shoving, beating, banging, slamming. They're getting it done now, boys.
On the restart, Martin Truex hit the wall coming off turn 2, but was able to continue. And then in the backstretch, Elliott Sadler almost lost it in front of a whole pack of cars. Watch the 19 on the left of your screen.
Yeah, he just was trying to get out behind Strimmy there. Got into Joe Nemechek in the 13 and made him a hole.
And this time, Dale Jr. is not driving away from the field as much as he did on the last green flag run.
He's still got about the best hot rod out there, though. He's at the 60s, and other guys are high 60s, low 70s in lap times. So clean air out front.
Tony Stewart 5th, Denny Hamlin in the 11-6. They've had a little bit of contact among teammates.
Denny's a little bit better than Tony, and I got to believe that he's going to let him go getting down into 1 here, or at least give him an opportunity.
And the battle for 9th place on your left. Newman, Burton in the 31, and Kyle Busch, last week's winner.
Now, I've been watching this battle right there. Remember, Kyle Busch was the first car to line up with 4 fresh tires, and he was slicing and dicing through those guys like they were sitting still. Denny Hamlin gets by Tony Stewart. Remember, Denny Hamlin has had the best race car, I think, here most of the day, with the exception of the 8 car, but 127 laps ago had the problem on a pit stop. Look at them 3 wide down there. They are beating and banging all over each other.
I tell you what, there's nobody that drives any harder, will take any more chances, and put his car in more harm's way than that 5 car. Good grief. There's no way he should have made it down in there 3 wide.
Ryan Newman is not going to like that, and Ryan Newman, like most of these drivers, has a long memory.
You got to watch this. So this is the 5 car saying, I don't care if we wreck all 3 cars, I am coming down. And there he goes. He's up on the curb. Look at his brakes glowing.
Hits the curb.
Hits Ryan.
But he never, he's got such great car control. He hangs onto that thing, completes the pass, and goes on.
He's moved up to the 8th position now with this 5 car as we're getting under 150 laps to go.
And back at the front, now that they've separated themselves from traffic, Dale Earnhardt Jr. is once again separating himself from Jimmy Johnson. Robbie Gordon around, and that brings out a caution.
Just hold it. Caution's out.
10th one of the day. Boy, Robbie has had a tough time of it today.
He has flat tires spinning out. Got to run. Oh, I'll tell you, he's had a bad day.
Darrell, I just believe that is the caution that Kyle Busch, Kurt Busch, Carl Edwards, Ricky Rudd, Kenny Schrader, Tony Raines, Martin Truex Jr., that's the caution they wanted to see, because this may force those guys that did not stop the last time to come to pit road now.
They're in a box. I mean, you look over here, Larry, the flags are standing out, the wind's blowing, rain is in the area.
Yeah, Darrell, if you look out the back of our booth, it's less than 10 miles away.
So now what do? Do I come in and get 4 tires, which I badly need, or do I stay out and hope it rains?
Our cameramen report a drop or 2.
I'm going to stay out and hope it rains.
That's a good choice right now, I think. Because here's what happens. If the rain comes in and the race cannot be restarted, we've completed more than half the distance, it would be called official. However, NASCAR will make their best efforts.
Up here, and it looks like it's coming from over here to the right of us hard.
That would be from the southwest.
And our leaders, they're all going to stay out, I think, for a lot of reasons, a lot because of this rain.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you can't. I mean, they're in. That was my point about getting tires that last time.
Look it to the left. There's the rain, and it's on the way. In fact, it's here. We're under caution at Martinsville Speedway. 146 laps to go in the Goody's Headache Powders Cool Orange 500. We're going to crank it up, folks. The umbrella, that is, because it is raining here in Martinsville, Virginia, about an hour south of Roanoke, 45 minutes north of Greensboro, Winston-Salem. You see the Impala pace car just ahead of Dale Earnhardt Jr. as they bring the cars down pit road and to a halt under what will be a red flag as soon as the last car is stopped.
Hey, Junebug, it's the DW. This just in, my friend. It's raining in Martinsville.
Yeah, man. I was driving pretty hard there at the end. I was hoping my rain would come, and because I was using up quite a bit of my car. I've been trying to save a little bit for the end. That's been our deal here lately, is wearing the car out before the end of the race. I had to use up quite a bit of it right there because I didn't want to get past, but we'll see how long this stuff's going to stick around. I don't know. Maybe the good Lord be on our side here, and we'll get us the win somehow, some way.
Man, you've been looking good today, Junior. Your car is just awesome looking. They got a handle on this car tomorrow, looks like.
Well, I say it's best car forward bike-wise I've ever had here. I think that has a lot to do with the width of the car, and it drives really good. I'm really surprised. I mean, you know, they've got a lot of criticism, and I got to give credit where credit's due. And it's a pretty decent car for this racetrack between me and my team and the guys that built it, and of course NASCAR designing it. We've been real critical of it up to this point, but it seems to be working really good here.
Well, I know you're leading the race, and this probably have a biased opinion, but would you like to see them go to this car full-time, Junior?
One way or another, you know. Either run the other ones or run this one all the time so we can get started working on them. I think they were, you know, very conservative in deciding to run just a few races this year, and that was probably a good choice, but you know, we'll just see how it works out. I mean, there's probably a lot more to learn. These two races are short tracks, and you can basically build any kind of car with 4 tires and a steering wheel and get it to go around here fast. So we'll see how they go at them other tracks, and then we'll decide how much we really like them.
Yeah, one more thing, and I hope you don't mind me asking, but how's Kelly?
She's at home, staying with my mother for a couple of days. She'll be there till middle of the week. She wanted to get some rest. The little girls would be waking her up left and right, so she'd sit there and get rest, get healed up. She's not supposed to lift anything for several weeks, so we're just trying to keep her out of harm's way, and Jimmy's taking care of the kids in the time being, doing a great job.
All right, my friend, thank you so much. And this is a lot better than a couple of 3 or 4 years ago when you were here at Martinsville for one of the first times, huh?
Yeah, we wrecked our car, a lot of other people's cars. I ran into a pace car, a record. We damaged about everything but the hot dog stand, because I really like that hot dog stand, of course. That's a rough day. My man Tony Jr. is the guy for credit for how good his car drives. He's really working hard.
All right, buddy, get out there and get you something to drink and see if we go back to green or not. But you look great today, and keep it up.
Thank you.
And just Kelly is Dale's sister, Dale Jr.'s sister, and actually Jimmy Elledge, the crew chief for Reed Sorensen. It's his wife. Kelly had some major surgery about a week ago. I talked to Jimmy last night. She is at home recovering nicely after some pretty major surgery about a week ago.
Well, it didn't take these guys long to hop out and come over and have a little discussion, did it?
Teammates Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson,
Steve Letard, Chad Knaus, the brain trust behind those two cars.
Dale Jr. out of his car. Now we are under a rain delay. NASCAR has a look at the weather radar. They're going to try to let this shower move through, dry the track, and get us back under green flag racing. So might be a good time to see what's on the menu at the Hollywood Hotel.
Might, but you know, it's blown through pretty quick. The flags are already kind of dying down.
Yeah.
This may not last as long as we thought.
It'll take long to dry this place.
Yeah, and the forecast was for rain later in the day to come through and kind of cool things off. And Jeff, as a crew chief coming into this day, we heard about the threat for rain, and obviously you heard some of the discussion through the course of the race. Do you prepare differently your car, your driver on this track with the threat of rain?
Well, what you try to do is you look at the weather and you want to make sure, number one, is it going to go halfway? You know, you want to kind of pace yourself, and then when you get close to halfway, you start watching that weather. And if it doesn't look like it's imminent, well, you try to start pacing yourself for the duration of the day. And I think that's what Dale Earnhardt Jr. was saying, is once we saw that the weather was going to be getting here, he knew how important it was for him to get up on that wheel, run a little extra harder, maybe use up some more brakes than what he wanted to, but stay aggressive and keep that number 8 car out front. Right now, it's paying off for him, and hopefully, if they have to go back green, he'll still have enough car left to hang on.
Now I'm at the Hollywood Hotel because we have, we're right here. Don't you do this. I don't want you to fall out of your chair, but you can see the size of those.
Just keep it up. I'm going to knock you out of yours.
I can because
guys,
of a smart aleck.
Who is in charge of windows down there? One of you got a little bit of work to do.
Yeah, you got.
Well, Larry, we've been waiting on you to come out of your little place up there and help us out.
He's come a long way from a tire changer. He's not going to touch a squeegee, no matter what.
Don't do windows. Don't do windows.
There's Juan Pablo Montoya, the rookie.
He's having a whale of a run today, guys. I mean, we've been documenting, but to come here as a rookie and having right now running 11th in his first outing, I think is just huge. I mean, a lot of people say, why do you keep talking about Juan Pablo Montoya? Because what he's been able to do to adapt to these cars is pretty phenomenal, at least in my opinion.
143 laps to go, so under the red flag. Here's a quick update. 7 leaders, 12 lead changes so far, and 10 cautions. Jeff Gordon, who's led 92 laps in this race, see him get close there with Denny Hamlin. Hamlin led 125 laps. Looked like he was dominating, but problems in the pits.
Yeah, they had a little problem right there. The jack man dropped his jack a little too quick. They had a lug nut fall off. He had to back up in the pits to get the nut back on. It cost him a big time as far as pit road is concerned.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. had led 1 lap coming into this race, has led 117 and is your current leader, pushing out in front. Now, Tony Stewart only led 11 laps, but lost 5 spots when he had problems in the pits.
A little slow back there on the left rear, coming out of the pits, losing 5 positions on the racetrack. Currently running 6th during this rain delay.
So it's Dale Earnhardt Jr., Jimmy Johnson, Clint Boyer, Jeff Gordon, and Denny Hamlin.
Hey, that's creative and innovative.
Yeah,
is that Larry Mack under there?
That's our ghetto, our escape car after the race we have from the Hollywood Hotel. No, that's Larry Mack's weather meter. He keeps an eye on. And here, as you see in the middle there, Martinsville, looks like it's moving through pretty quickly. And then you have, there you go, thank you, Larry, some space a little bit afterwards. So maybe about 10 to 15 minutes. And if we run through these 143 laps, Jeff, afterwards, what do you think? It takes about 50 minutes to an hour, depending upon cautions? We got people. Larry Mack.
Hey,
if you ask him, he'll do anything. He's a crew chief.
It's a giant cleaning the wall.
My goodness.
Multitasking.
He's very versatile.
Yeah.
All right, so now you have a clear view.
Clear view of what's going on.
About 50 minutes to an hour to run this thing if they drive the track and we get back out to racing?
Or less. Again, depending on how hard the guys are running. But it takes about, 3 laps a minute away. It kind of equates out.
The conversation Darrell had with Dale Earnhardt Jr. sitting in the lead and resting his car. Jr. sounded very relaxed, very confident, very comfortable. He's been racing a little bit better coming into this race.
Well, the key thing is, Chris, if you're in a position he's in, you can be that way. His car so far, and he's already documented the fact it's working very well. Tony Eury Jr. has got this car turning in the center. He's really getting a lot of forward bite. And folks, what that means is when he gets that car turned, he's able to get back on the throttle very aggressively and drive it up off the turn. That will keep you out front. That will win you this race.
18 times Dale Earnhardt Jr. has led 100 laps. He's won 7 of those races in the past. He's led 100 laps here and has the lead. Let's check in. You're talking about Juan Pablo Montoya. Got a rookie and a veteran. Dick Bergman is standing by.
Yeah, indeed. Juan Pablo Montoya talking to some of the guys. Are you having fun? I mean, you look terrific out there.
Thank you very much. No, it's good. Texas Goblin Dutch is good today. It's been a good car all weekend, and I'm enjoying this place. They say it's hard, but I don't know, it kind of suits my driving style, so it's been pretty good.
I saw you talking to your buddy David Stremme. How much has he helped you get around Martinsville?
Oh, he helped me a lot. We went on a safety car the first day. Says, you got to brake here, you got to turn here, you got to careful here, and he helps a lot.
This is so different from anything you have done before. Have you gotten to the point where you enjoy this?
Yeah, you can enjoy it. It's fun. It's hard racing. With the back markers in the inside, make your life really tough. So it's fun.
More fun when you're running well.
Yeah, when you have a good car, it's always a good day.
All right, we're having fun watching you. To Krista.
Denny Hamlin leading much of this race, and then a problem in the pits. But Denny, you've been able to charge back. How good is your car? And if this thing goes back to green, can you get back up in the lead?
Yeah, we just had an unfortunate pit stop problem, and these guys help me more than they hurt me usually, so can't complain too much. Put us back there a little bit, but it's so hard to pass with these cars that we're just having to take our time getting back to the front. Looks like 24 is pretty good, the 8 is pretty good. The rest of them, I think, we can race.
Now, the thing you might have that they don't have is the hunger to win at this track. This is your home track. How much is that fueling your fire?
It's frustrating. I've come so close to winning these races that I'm sick of watching everyone else get these grandfather clocks and me miss out on it. So hopefully we get back on and we get these guys run for their money.
All right, Matt Yoakum.
And we're back here in the 24 pit stall. Jeff Gordon ducking for some cover. First off, Let's go back earlier in the race. A scary moment down in turns 1 and 2. Any idea now after debriefing with Steve Letarte what might have been the issue?
No, the only thing we can think of is with this car, we're not able to build the crush panels and some of the things the same way with our the other car. What we've done is found ways where when the rubber gets built up, like it gets built up really bad here, it builds in areas in the car, and sometimes it builds up so much it finally falls off. And that's all I can think of is that we just had some fall on the right front or left front tire, and I went into turn 1, stood on the brakes, and I felt it vibrating, and it just went straight. And so I thought we had a flat or something, really wrong. Luckily, we didn't come into pit, just stayed out there, and it came back to us, and now we're driving up through the field. The DuPont Impala is pretty awesome. I hope we can get up there. Not that great on new tires, but, man, we're great on the long runs and been having a lot of fun today.
If we get a chance to go back to green, how do you think things are going to size up knowing how good your car is at this juncture?
Well, Junior is incredible on the short run, and he can really squirt and get out there. And me being in traffic and fourth, it's going to take forever. So, I think that we need a long run. We need a lot of green flag running, and we need some one awesome pit stop. That's all we need, and we can get up there and we can still win this thing.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.
He already has 7 grandfather clocks. The big trophy for winning here at Martinsville, still chasing an 8th. Chris?
All right, Matt, and Jeff Hammond, real quick, the points leader coming in. Jeff Gordon has some work to do.
Yeah, he has a little bit of work to do. But again, Chris, let's go back and talk about what he thought his problem was. When you're running around this racetrack, you peel off rubber. And a lot of times that'll build up in little cavities inside the car. And what Jeff's saying is when that thing gets built up, sometimes it gets as big as maybe a softball or bigger, it could drop out. And you run over it, and all of a sudden you think you've got a problem because it's like a hard ball, this hard rubber gets packed up in there. And again, it gave him a feeling he wasn't used to, made the car go straight. So he reacted accordingly, didn't overly panic, but he was very cautious not to wreck the car, got back on track. And even though he's back in this pack a little bit, he knows he's got a kind of race car. If he just kind of be patient and you get a chance to go back green, he'll have an opportunity to maybe get up there and challenge for this win. But Darrell, as a driver, you know how that can really kind of scare you.
Well, Jeff, I was just sitting here thinking about 1981, and we went from the big, wide 64-inch tread width Monte Carlo down to the 62-inch wide tread width, little Buicks, little Monte Carlos, little Pontiacs, and every time we went to the racetrack, we never knew what we were going to get. We built cars. I remember that. You remember it well. That year, Tim Brewer and you built 15 brand new race cars looking for the combination that it took to get them around the racetrack. So when you have new cars, unknowns about them, you're spooked. The cars do things that you're not accustomed to. They do things you don't expect, and that's a part of the learning curve for the teams to build them and for the drivers to get accustomed to driving them.
All right, Darrell Waltrip, an 11-time winner here. And speaking of curves, in a rain delay in baseball, they waited out. We're in a delay here in Martinsville. And from the state of Virginia, David Wright, the all-star third baseman for the New York Mets, grew up in Virginia as a Mets fan. Their minor league team used to be there. I was down in spring training recently and talked with him. We were talking about baseball. Don't forget baseball Saturday on Fox. The season begins. The start time, 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific. The Mets and Braves among the teams you'll see. And I asked
Braves. Go Braves.
All right, well, David Wright wanted to talk Mets and also racing.
I'm a newly found NASCAR fan. I didn't really understand it too much in the past, but being down here in spring training, getting a chance to see the Daytona 500, things like that, I've become a fan. And I was actually asking for some advice before the show started.
I was trying to help.
Right. So
if I pick the Mets, you give me some advice, and I'll tell you the Jimmy Johnsons or Tony Stewart's
right. So Jimmy Johnson's been big for me the last couple of weeks. But looking forward to this week, and just enjoy it. I mean, it's something a little different, and I have a good time with it.
All right, and not because of my advice was hurting him. He was leading the pool with his team. They all pick drivers.
Right.
And also the Yankees, too. When I talked to Joe Torre, he always asks for tips. So it's amazing. You talk about fantasy baseball, how many guys in other sports are in fantasy pools in NASCAR, and they like to watch and pick. And they tell you they don't want to pick their favorite emotional driver. They want to pick to win the races.
Oh, yeah, they're competitive, no matter whether it's baseball or picking race winners. Again, Chipper Jones from Atlanta Braves, he's a big-time race fan. He was at the Daytona 500 this year. Had a chance to talk to him because he was giving me some insight on how good the Braves are going to be this year.
And Saturday, again, 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific, Major League Baseball. That's the regular start time every weekend. And Saturday we get the season going on Fox. It's an off weekend for the Cup racing, and then we'll be in Texas coming up.
Chris, the best news we have is that the rain has moved off. The hills to the southwest where the rain came out of they're now clear. We see them clearly, and the rains move to the north. The concrete turns will dry very quickly. Take a little more time to dry the asphalt before somebody gets to go home with one of the most unique and longest standing, that's not a pun, trophies in all of racing.
Yeah, we're talking about time. Well, you know, time here is probably of essential value when you think about 43 years ago, Clay Earls, the founder of this racetrack, presented the first grandfather clock to Fred Lorenzen. And that started a tradition that has gone on for 43 years. The clock this year is unique. It's a new one. It's a limited edition. It's going to play. It can play "God Bless America" and "America the Beautiful," and it retails for somewhere around $12,000–$15,000. So it's huge. It's beautiful. I'm envious.
The best thing about these clocks is they're made right here in Ridgeway, Virginia, just south of Martinsville. The Ridgeway Clock Company. It's gone through several ownership changes, but ever since Clay Earls, the founder and promoter of this track, handed out the first one, they have always been involved in providing the winner's trophy here.
I wonder what Fred Lorenzen thought when they gave him that clock. What am I supposed to do with this?
How am I going to get it home?
How am I going to get it home?
You know, you can just see the look on Denny Hamlin's face, and what's the first thing he mentioned was he's tired of coming here and watching other people win this grandfather clock. But the thing I think that's going to be interesting, I'm pretty confident we're going to get back racing. Jeff Gordon mentioned it. A good pit stop. A lot of these cars at the front of the pack, they did not come to pit road on that last caution like Kyle Busch, Ricky Rudd, some of those other guys. So there's no question with 143 laps to go, this race could be won and lost. Look at the problems Denny Hamlin, Tony Stewart had. Could be won and lost. Not by the driver, what he does on the racetrack, by these pit crews on this next pit stop.
I think the strategy that those guys employed to get those 4 tires a little bit ago, that could really be big here at the end of this race.
Had a great suggestion from our production truck, but I refuse to throw to Father Time. Instead, we're going to Dick Berggren with Clint Boyer.
Yeah, and as you know, at Fox, we try very, very hard to bring you truth in reporting. So I have taken my hat off, and I can assure you there is no rain down here on pit road. Well, maybe a drop or two, but that's about it. You're having yourself a terrific day in third spot, but you were looking for Jeff Gordon. How come?
I just, tell him to be patient here. I think we're going to get this last 100 laps in, and we're looking forward to it. Jack Daniels Chevrolet's pretty strong, and Gil make good stops. The boys have been making good stops in the pits, and Gil's making good calls on the box, and that's what it takes. Keep getting better and better, keep working on it, and we might have a shot this thing.
How good a shot have you got? I mean, can you dial this thing in, your crew dial it in so you can take that clock home?
Well, I hope so. I sure hope so. But, we're sitting where we need to be, 100 laps. Let's go for it.
You like the car tomorrow here? How's it going for you?
Well, in practice, I hate it, and then come race time, I get along with it. So as long as we can dance another 100 laps, I'll love it.
Week after week after week, we seem to find you in front. It doesn't matter whether it's the car of tomorrow or the car of today. A win close by?
I just think, we just keep getting better and better. I'm learning in the car, and Gil's learning me, and just keep working on it. And like I say, every week we keep getting better and better.
Chris Myers, he is going to win this year, I promise. And it's not going to rain anymore either.
All right, thanks, Dick. Dick Berggren, forget rain. Dick was there for the beginning of the Ice Age. We'll continue. We're under, I can't because I care, under a rain delay, but Dale Earnhardt Jr. is leading, and it looks like we're going to go racing soon. NASCAR Nextel Cup Racing on Fox is sponsored by UPS, official delivery company of NASCAR. UPS delivers the chance to manage your own free fantasy auto racing league. You can go to foxsports.com. David Wright of the Mets will. The track is drying fast, 143 laps to go. Dale Earnhardt Jr. leading under the red flag. And a quick recap shows Denny Hamlin has led the most laps today, 125, but problems in the pits. So lug nuts cost him the lead.
A good call right there, probably by the crew chief, Mike Ford, getting that car backed up. And even though it cost Denny the lead, he's still out there in a good position to make it up.
7-time winner here, Jeff Gordon, who's led for 95 laps. We've heard from him. He's fourth. Dale Earnhardt Jr. taking over since lap 235. We're now at lap 357. That may be the car tomorrow, or next week, or next month. It's a way to stay dry as we are under the rain delay. Jimmy Johnson currently running second, and he is standing by with our Matt Yoakum.
And we're working our way back to the 48 car. Jimmy, first off, what a turnaround for you and this team when you look at where you were in practice on Friday to where you are right now, currently second.
Yeah, there's been a lot of hard work from all of Hendrick Motorsports to get these cars where we need them. And I have to thank the 24 team for really giving us what we needed yesterday between the two practice sessions, get us on the map and get us going. And right now we're in good position. We'll see what we got for the 80. It's been pretty strong.
and something is about to happen that's never happened before. Your wife asked you for $2, Shandy, so she could go get a Jesse Jones hot dog. Someone loaned her money, and you're going to miss out on that big experience.
I know, I'm starving. It's been a long day at the office. I'd love one of those dogs now, but she had the nerve to ask me for $2. I'm like, really? How am I going to have $2 for a hot dog?
Real quick, your bowling alley debuted Thursday. Very nice.
Yeah, it was so special. I can't thank Lowe's, Levi Strauss Signature, Chevrolet, and then the fans, of course. It all chipped in to help put that together and come true. We still haven't raised all the money for it, but we're awfully close. And to see those kids bowl for their first time on Thursday was pretty special.
Victory lanes at the Victory Junction Game Camp. Krista?
Well, Matt, no Jesse Jones hot dog for Kevin Harvick during the rain delay. I believe it was a turkey sandwich, actually. He gets back into his car, and you were talking there with Tony Stewart. Was it like parts failures with the Impala in the car tomorrow, or was it possibly bets for charity?
Yeah, I don't think it has anything to do with our Impala. We just broke a throttle cable, whatever that thing is in there that makes the fuel pressure work, and it just broke. Seems like we're having a lot of problems. Everybody's having a lot of problems with them, so something that we got to address. But our Shell Pennzoil Chevrolet was really fast, just trying to keep the brakes under it until 100 to go, and everything was still there. Just didn't happen. Just had a lot of bad luck here, and 3 out of the first 6 races, so we'll just keep at it.
All right, he's going to keep at it and go have some fun for what? Another, Chris, about 140-some laps? Is that what we got?
Yeah, 143. Krista, Devota, thank you very much for that. We'll devote the rest of the race to the top drivers here. The top 6 cars are Chevrolets. Dale Earnhardt Jr., by the way, the leader in the 8 car, has never won from the 8th starting position. He started 8th in the race today. We're off next weekend for Easter. A happy one to you a little early, but in 2 weeks, NASCAR on Fox rolls into Texas.
We got 200,000 people here today. They want to see some emotion. Let's get her done, Texas style.
This place is so fast, so big.
Here, things get out of control because of the speed.
Crash, turn 2, big wreck. Whoa. That's what happens when you bring NASCAR out to the Wild Wild West.
Eddie Gossage always puts on a good show at Texas Motor Speedway. Casey Kane won the race last year, struggling a little bit here, and he's on that fringe with points real quick. So we get ready to roll again here. Talk about the strategy, what drivers are thinking.
Well, I think Larry McReynolds has already kind of set it up. This next pit stop is going to be the key one. 143 laps, this could be their last stop. So if they decide to come down pit road right now, I think the rain's past us. You've got to get 4 tires. You've got to be able to maintain that lead or stay where you are.
Well, let's rejoin Darrell, Larry, and Mike.
Everything a little bigger in Texas. That's where we'll be in 2 weeks' time, but we've got a race to finish. And look how nicely the concrete surface has dried in the corners here at Martinsville. That allows the jet dryers to concentrate on the asphalt straightaways and pit road. And the drivers are to their cars. We're very close to restarting.
Now, Larry, I'll ask you, and then Jeff, we're assuming that there are going to be some pit stops. Are we also assuming that no one can make it to the end, or are we assuming they're going to give up track position and get tires?
Well, I'm very confident those guys that did not stop on that last caution, like Dale Earnhardt Jr., Jimmy Johnson, Clint Boyer, those guys cannot make it because they have not been to pit road since lap 308, 40-something laps ago. But even though the pit window is 140 to 150 laps, those guys that pitted on lap 338 with 162 to go, I think that's close enough, cautions and all, that they can make it.
Oh, I think that was their strategy. Get tires the last caution, don't get tires the next one, assuming all these guys up front here are going to have to come in and get tires.
Well, we knew everyone was racing to the rain.
Right.
It was very obvious it was coming. Now what do you do for 150 laps? Once we get the green flag, do you settle in and hope for a long run?
Or do
you expect that cautions will breed cautions?
This is a 150-lap shootout now for everybody, no matter whether you're on the lead lap or you're trying to stay on the lead lap or you're trying to get back on the lead lap. It's a shootout.
Yeah, I think the 2 words settle in, they're out the window with the rain. I think that's over with.
21 cars will restart on the lead lap. 42 of 43 running. Jeremy Mayfield, the only car withdrawn at this moment. And you see the drivers strapping back in, getting ready to restart.
Nice little break. You know, people always want to know what we do about when we have to go to the bathroom. Well, we just throw a red flag or we have a little rain spell and we go run to the bathroom.
How about one more hot dog? Just one more.
Fine for you to say. I've had 3.
I'd like to get y'all a limit on these things.
Saturday baseball is back. The NL East champion Mets clash with the Braves. Or AL MVP Justin Morneau and the Twins take on the White Sox. Or Barry Bonds chases history against the Dodgers. Fox Saturday Baseball returns this week at an all-new time. Check for the game in your area. Fox Tuesday. To save a mother and her unborn child, House must do the impossible.
You're gonna need to get her consent.
That shouldn't be too hard. Sign here or you and your baby both die. Don't miss the most emotional episode of the season.
If there's anyone I would trust to save my baby, it would be House.
House. Viewer discretion advised. All new at 9/8 Central Tuesday on Fox.
9 finalists take on their biggest singing challenge yet. Who will take the next step towards stardom? American Idol at 8/7 Central Tuesday on Fox.
Kalamazoo, they come to Martinsville. And you see the rain gear in the grandstand, but the rain has passed and the track is dry. So the officials are standing one to a car to signal the tower that their drivers are at the ready. We'll likely have several laps of caution. We may have some pit stops, and then we'll be ready to go back to green. Pace car is out touring the track. Brett Bodine, former driver, behind the wheel of the pace car, checking out the racing surface. He's had a lot of success here as a driver in both the NASCAR Modifieds and the Busch Series, as well as Cup.
I just think it's so cool when people that have devoted their whole life to this sport, like this man right here has, Rick Hendrick, and what a wonderful guy he is. When you devoted your whole life to this sport, that they can find a place for you. For Brett and for other people that have found jobs in NASCAR through the years.
152 wins for Hendrick Motorsports. His very first win as a car owner came right here with Jeffrey Bodine.
Brett's older brother. The first of 7 Hendrick wins here. Jeff Bodine has 7 wins here across 3 divisions.
You know, going back to Brett Bodine, having him on the NASCAR staff, there's no telling how many laps and miles of testing he's done at all the different racetracks in this car tomorrow.
Buster Auten there on the right side, passenger seat. Buster's been around this sport forever, and his brother is a competition director for the Craftsman Truck Series. Little family connection there.
Yep, we appreciate their help, as well as all the NASCAR staff, and Clay Campbell and his family and the folks here at Martinsville Speedway. Always just a favorite place to come and just enjoy racing. This place is set in a little neighborhood, right the way the track's set when Clay Earls and Bill France built it in 1947. More seats. It's paved now, but it's still the same old Martinsville.
I got to believe, you know, starting a race last week was about one of the coolest things I'd ever done. But I got to believe riding around on the pace car with the whole field lined up behind you and you're in control of what they do, that's got to be pretty exciting too.
You like control. I know that. That would be cool.
I loved it coming down to get the green. You know, you say, okay, hold it down, hold it down.
Yeah, Mike, we were talking the other day on our conference call, Martinsville, Virginia, opening 47, as you mentioned. Of our 22 racetracks we go to, this is the only track in its present configuration that at one time was dirt. Now it's, well, it's concrete and asphalt.
Right. You know, the problem with you driving the pace car, the last thing we'd hear from the tower would be, tower to pace car, turn left, turn left. There's a pit road, get off the track.
I'd be like that deal that Jeff or Ned Jarrett, you'd better put not just enough gas in my car to get around there for the parade lap, so I might not come in.
Engines have fired. We're ready to restart. 357 laps complete, 143 to go.
You know, Mike, we've mentioned pit stops. The racetrack is completely dry, but there's one area of this racetrack that is not completely dry, and it mainly are those pit pit boxes that these guys are going to be making pit stops in. You can see the crews working with brooms, with little blower fans, even using a torch right here, trying to heat the area up to dry it off, because they know they're going to have another pit stop to make, and it may very well be coming up here in the next few laps.
Using a little Burnsomatic torch to dry your pit box, is that like throwing deck chairs off the Titanic?
It's going to take a while.
Yeah. And that, you know why he's
but
doing
I applaud
that,
the effort.
That's his spot.
Right.
That's where he's going to stop.
My spot's going to be dry.
Right.
You are so right.
I don't know
about
do
what you want to do, but I'm going to be ready. I'm not going to screw this deal up.
They had to give Clint Boyer, the 07 car running in third, little push start there, which is perfectly legal when we've been under a red flag. Sometimes these starters get hot and these cars will not crank this deep into a race.
The field is underway. They will run a couple of caution laps, and these laps will count toward the 500-lap total.
Now, see that little red piece of tape on top of the steering wheel there? That's how the driver knows that he's got his steering wheel on correct, and that's how he knows his wheels are straight. And that's so critical, not for just going around the racetrack, but when he comes into pits. He wants to be sure that thing is lined up, because he don't want his wheels turned one way or another. They can't get the tires off.
And if he ever bangs wheels on the racetrack and that stripe is off, then he knows that evidently something on the front suspension is bent or broke.
And we saw how soft Jeff Gordon's left front tire is. Is that by design?
No. That is too soft. I'm pretty sure that, well, I don't know. His looked like it was softer than it possibly could be.
I wonder, Darrell, combination of low air pressure and extreme camber, so all the weight is just on the shoulder of that tire?
But that tire's been into something. If it hadn't been rubbed up against something, see all the yellows off of it, I wouldn't be maybe concerned, but I'm concerned with that.
See Kurt Busch in the 2 car. Now, he was actually one of the cars that came to pit road back on lap 338. Anticipate he very well may be one of the cars that will stay out if the other cars come in.
I mean, there's only 8 to 10 pounds of air in these left side tires, just enough to hold them on the wheel, but as the car runs, the pressure builds up, and it'll get up to 20, 22 pounds after a long run.
They look like wrinkle wall slicks, but you see how bright and shiny and readable the Goodyear and Eagle lettering is on that left front tire on Bobby Labonte's car. Go back and look at Jeff Gordon's again.
Yeah, that's the only concern I have about Jeff's is how it's been up against something, and that could possibly.
There you go. Thanks. See, you can't read the lettering at all. It's all been rubbed off by something or somebody's car.
It just looks a little bit lower than I think it should be.
Does it look low enough to pit?
Now, he's one of the cars that did not pit, that he stayed out on that last caution. So if these guys do come to pit road, he would be one of the cars that would want to get in here, I think, with only about 140 laps left to go.
But Larry, you're darned if you do, darned if you don't.
Oh,
if
yeah.
you need to replace that tire, that's one thing, but if you come in, you could restart 21st.
Yeah, because we've got 21 cars on the lead lap. And again, we had on that last caution, we only had about 8 of those cars that made pit stops. Now, Dale Earnhardt Jr., the 8 car, scrubbing his tires back and forth, like possibly not thinking about coming to pit road.
That's why I asked you, Larry. I mean, we are assuming they're all going to come to pit road. I'm assuming they aren't.
Look at the rebound Dale Jr. has had in this young season. Starting out with 2 DNFs. Bristol, his best finish until perhaps today. Jimmy Johnson's wife, Shanny, the appeal of the Martinsville hot dogs is universal.
These dadgum 500-lap races, they will wear you out and make you real hungry.
He heard Matt Yoakum talking to Jimmy Johnson about the Victory Lanes bowling alley that was opened on Thursday down at the Victory Junction game camp. Shanny was actually a big player in that whole deal that they put together down there.
All right, Larry, pit road's open this time by.
Hey, D-Doug, Larry,
brother,
let me ask you guys a question. We got 140 laps to go, okay?
What you going to do?
In the first 140 laps, we had 5 cautions. Why do you not think it's going to pick up over the final 140 laps?
I don't have any reason to think it won't, bud. I'm just thinking I'm going to stay out. I don't want to get myself back in 21st place.
That's the reason why I think you need to get tires now, because when they start caution, you're going to get a chance to work your way up, a little bit like the truck race yesterday. Guys who came in latter part of that deal, just like you're seeing right now, Jimmy Johnson, I think it's going to put him in a better position for these later cautions. He'll be able to work his way right back up to number 8. He'll have better tires.
Denny Hamlin is in as well among the cars on the lead lap.
Well, at least we can agree on one thing. It's 50-50. Some thought they ought to come, some didn't.
But Denny Hamlin in 11, Jimmy Johnson in the 48. I agree with what Jeff is saying here. I think these guys are under the strategy. I'm seeing Ricky Rudd in the 88, Matt Kenseth in the 17, Schrader in the 21. These guys are intending on this being possibly, Krista, their last pit stop of the day.
That's right, Larry. You know, before the rain came, Jimmy Johnson was planning on coming in to make an air pressure adjustment. He needed to just fix his car just a little bit, so they're going to take advantage of that, put on the 4 tires, and get back out there with as fresh of a car as possible.
I just think that the guys that are up front right now, they intend to stay there to the end.
The first of these cars that comes out of the pits, Darrell, will start 16th. They have new tires, but have they dug themselves a deep hole?
Well, they're in harm's way now. You got a great car. Now you're back in there where people are fighting, like I said before, trying to stay on the lead lap, trying to get a lap back. I mean, there's so many things that are going to take place on these last few restarts.
The guy I like right now, as far as strategy, we talked about him before the red flag. He's sitting back there in 6th position right now, Kyle Busch in the 5. He has fresher tires than anyone in front of him, and several cars behind him, only about 20 laps on his tires right now.
The mistake that was made is when they didn't come the caution before the rain came.
Painted in the box, like you said.
Now you've made your bed, and unfortunately, you may have to sleep in it. I think the rain really I think the rain was what they were counting on, and that the race would get called.
Wonder what that brief rain shower will do to the track surface. We're about to find out. Looking for the green flag to complete lap 363. 137 to go. Green flag.
Now there's one concern I always have when I've been racing hard. I shut my engine off, everything cools down a little bit, and then I fire it back up and go racing hard again. That cycle, that cool down cycle, can be really hard on valves.
Plus, you're parking a car with overheated brakes. You're not allowed to, you can't turn those front wheels. The rotors might warp. A lot of things can happen.
Not only that, but that heat in the system, it can cause the fluid to get condensation and moisture in it. So a number of things can happen when you shut them down, let them sit a while.
Clint Boyer, the 07 car, running in 2nd, racing with Reed Sorensen in the 41. Reed trying to get up there to get the free pass. He's got his hands full now. Looks like Jeff Gordon in the 24 is going to take advantage of it here.
I've seen that 07 car get really loose up off the corner a number of times today. Almost spun out one time.
Gordon makes the pass. He wants a long run. He'd like to see this go green to the conclusion. That's when his car works best.
And I think Junior's is maybe just the opposite. Seemed like Junior's car possibly slowed on the long run. Right now they're running right back running what they were before the rain came in. 20:56, and that's exactly what Junior ran the last lap before the rain came.
Yeah, 20:56 is only about a 10th and a half off of his fastest lap of this race.
And that's when they were racing to the rain. Now they're just racing. I think the track's better.
Got a battle here for 8th and 9th with Juan Pablo Montoya, the 42, Ryan Newman, the 12, and we're riding with Tony Raines in the 96 up in the 10th place right now.
One thing I've noticed about Montoya is he runs a little bit higher around here than some of the guys that have raced here a long time. He gets himself hung up on the outside, but he's made it work pretty good all day. But he's going to lose a spot here, I'm afraid, to Ryan Newman.
And he may end up losing 2 spots if Tony Raines can follow the 12 car through there.
Steve?
Mike, amazing run for Juan Pablo Montoya. And consider the fact back on lap 218, they had a lengthy stop because they put a spring rubber in the right rear. You've been complaining about a tight condition, but again, a tremendous job by a guy who's never been to this racetrack.
Steve, if these guys keep going at it, he's going to need a spring rubber in that left door. He and Ryan Newman, they rubbed around this entire half-mile racetrack that last lap.
See that 96 car, the DLP car, he's putting out a lot of black smoke as they go off down into the corner, I've noticed.
We've seen several cars
doing that. I've seen a lot of cars doing that. I wonder if it's an exhaust problem, an exhaust system problem.
Kyle Busch, he and Jamie McMurray have been playing bumper tag for the last 3 laps, and now Busch gets the inside. See if he can complete the pass.
Well, this is where Jamie ought to look in his mirror and say, nobody behind us got better tires, go ahead. Fall in and follow me.
Okay, all right, back into rhythm now. Let's drive away from that 31.
So Kyle up to 5th. Meanwhile, Dale Jr. 1.3 seconds up on Jeff Gordon. 128 to go. I like what Montoya's been doing, Darrell. Even though he leaves the bottom open, he's not binding the race car up at the bottom of the corner, so he's getting off the corner clean.
Kind of one of those things, what you don't know, you don't know. And he doesn't know that maybe you ought to be running around the bottom. There's a lot of room up the top. Nobody there. I'll take it.
And Darrell, Tony Raines in the 96 car, he's on the same pit sequence as like Kyle Busch in the 5. He was one of those guys that came to pit road back on lap 338 for 4 tires. Look at Montoya's car. It looks perfect for Martinsville now, doesn't it?
On the left side. Right side's a little rougher. That left front fender's a little crinkled. He's had a good day, though. I'm telling you, no matter what happens, he's gained some valuable experience.
Yeah, the right side's
see all that black smoke coming out of his car.
Yeah, don't show that side. That's not pretty.
But there's something going on with the black smoke coming out of these cars. We've seen a number of them do that.
Spin, turn 1, Raines in the wall.
Caution will be out.
What a shame, having a great run. Sitting there in 9th place.
I keep coming, come on.
Tony Raines hops the curb after battling Juan Pablo Montoya. And will bring his DLP Chevy to pit road. Let's see what it looked like from the grandstand seats.
I think what you're going to see is a little crossover move here, and Juan just drove in there and got into the side of Tony's 96 car.
Pretty hard lick, but notice that wing almost did not even move on the back of that thing. Now we've got some pit stops. Pit road is open, and we got all of our top guys that was at the front pretty much to pit road.
Dick Berggren.
Carl Edwards' crew chief has just told him he can make it to the end on the fuel that they've got. They've adjusted on this car all day long. They haven't really hit it. Steve.
Jeff Burton's going to get 4 tires on the number 31, Dick. Burton been running in the top 10 since halfway in this race. Matt.
Boyer says his car is good. No changes for the 07. Meanwhile, Stewart says more of the same. The longer we run, the better my car gets.
Tony Stewart, 9.6 second stop. He is out of there. Stewart came in 4th.
But Dale Earnhardt Jr., the Budweiser group, they've got about that 3rd pit box just before you leave pit road. He's going to win the battle of the cars that made pit stops.
Yeah, the 11 and some of the other guys, the 2 other guys in front didn't come in.
Oh, by the way, DW, look who's got the lead. Our man that pitted a while ago.
Yeah, Mr. Cornflakes.
NASCAR Nextel Cup Racing on Fox is sponsored by FedEx. Every day is race day. By the new Ford Super Duty, built to work harder for you. By Head & Shoulders, flake-free and touchably beautiful hair. And by Subway Restaurants. Subway, eat fresh.
Tony Raines has had a bad day, battling Juan Montoya for a lead lap position. Getting around into the wall, but without a great deal of damage. He's still in the race.
Yeah, and he hadn't had a bad day until just a moment ago. He was having a pretty darn good day up until that.
He's still on the lead lap right now with 119 to go.
He better
green flag.
Get going. Now, there are a few guys at the front that we've mentioned a number of times today, but there's a whole bunch of guys at the front right now that we haven't talked much about all day. Not in a positive way anyway. 17 being one of them.
That was a lap down at one point, Matt Kenseth. J.J. Yaley, you were looking at him in the 18 car up there in 4th. He was a lap down earlier, got the free pass.
And how about Dale Jr. now in 9th place, Krista?
Yeah, Mike, and you know, the thing they were concerned about with that rain delay was, like you talked about, the equipment getting cool. He was concerned, based on what happened in practice, that the brakes would kind of go out a little bit. But Tony Jr. told him the rotors look good, so when he came in, no adjustments, just 4 tires.
No adjustments, but plenty of traffic.
Tell you another little guy. I talked about him a little bit earlier in the show, but another guy, Larry, that's sitting up there minding his manners today and doing a pretty good job is little David Reagan in the 6 car running 10.
Still on the lead lap. He was one of the cars that pitted back on lap 361. That group, Jimmy Finney, his crew chief, decided to stay out that time.
Tony Stewart close on the tail of the AAA car. About to make a road service call there. As Reagan, 3 wide. Reagan dove under Schrader, and Stewart took the long way around.
And Schrader said, what in the world?
But you know why they did that? Because they know Kenny Schrader will hold his line and make the right call, move.
Guys, while we're watching this battle, I'm looking up there at the very front. Teammates Jimmy Johnson in that 48. Remember, he was on pit road back at lap 361 for fresh tires, much fresher than his teammate Kyle Busch. Goes off into turn 3 and 4. He's going to try to take the lead from Kyle Busch.
Well, that 48 car has just been all day long, just coming to the front, and now here he is.
Can you believe how bad that car was in practice compared to how good it is right now?
I know people at home say, well, maybe you didn't see practice. Just take our word for it. He was terrible.
But in his interview during the rain delay, he tipped his hat to the 24 group, Steve Letarte. They pretty much mirrored the setup that's under that 24 car. Obviously, Jeff Gordon's been good all day long right now in 7th position.
Denny Hamlin clears traffic. He gets past Dale Jarrett on the inside. Back behind them, boy, it's a mess. But now Hamlin has a clear view of the 2 leaders in front. Stremme and Edwards got together. Stremme's not a lead lap car. Carl Edwards is. This is back mid-pack at 18th. Stremme into Newman. And losing his momentum. Carl Edwards gave him a bump.
Just start stacking up behind from there. With 109 laps to go, Jeremy Mayfield, the 36 car, he's back out there 47 laps down from the garage area. So here with 109 to go, all 43 cars are on the racetrack right now.
Yeah, unless you just blow an engine, and you can repair so many things and get back out here.
Riding with Jamie McMurray right now. He's back in the 12th position, looking at his teammate David Reagan in the 6 car.
Got to give that. I already have it. I give that kid another call because of what he went through here in the last race. For him to be where he is right now, sitting up there in the top, he's 11th and driving a great race, keeping his nose clean. He's getting some respect and giving some respect.
In the top 15 right now, 5 Fords, 1 Dodge, 9 Chevrolets. By the way, Reed Sorensen got the free pass under that last caution flag.
Jeff Gordon, the 24 car, just got by Matt Kenseth in the 17. So Jeff moves into the 5th position, almost 5 seconds behind his teammate, our leader, Jimmy Johnson, in the 48.
Well, the big tip of the hat to that 17 bunch, Larry, because now in the race, he got the lucky dog. He almost got lapped several times, and they have done a good job of getting him tightened up and up here running in the top 5.
And Robbie Reiser, his crew chief, he played that strategy. He came to pit road on lap 361 when cars like Jimmy Johnson, Denny Hamlin came, got that track position, and holding on to it for the most part.
Yeah, I don't think he's got a great car, but they did a great job of getting him there, and that's going to pay off.
So our Ford bold movers, led by Kenseth, making their way toward the front in the closing stages. 104 laps to go. Jimmy Johnson has opened it up by half a second over Kyle Busch. David Stremme makes an unscheduled pit stop. 100 laps to go in the Goody's Cool Orange 500.
For 500 right here, guys. Execution all day long. Green flag, green flag. Doing a good job, everybody. Keep taking care of it. Nice and smart. Take care of that race car. Take care of the brakes. We'll take care of you in here in the pit. What's going on in this race car, but it's really hot. No pressure, clear by 3. I was just hopping and bouncing off the right front.
Welcome back to Martinsville. Some of the sights and sounds. 94 laps to go. While we were away, Tony Stewart passed Matt Kenseth for 8th place, and Ricky Rudd has also passed him for 9th. Clint Boyer and Dale Jr. get together just a bit as they race for 6th.
And Mike, I'm looking at the scoring monitor. The first 6 cars are running 93, 95, 95, 87, 98, all within a few hundreds of each other.
But that's going to change, I think, for our leader, Jimmy Johnson, in the 48 car. About 25 laps since that last restart. He's starting to catch the back of the pack right now, catching that lap traffic, and not too far in front of him. There is a ton of cars trying to desperately stay on the lead lap or just 1 lap down.
Jimmy's car has not been an inch off of that yellow line all day long. That thing rolls right around that curve just like it's hooked to it.
The fastest cars on the track last lap, Jeff Gordon and Ricky Rudd. As Rudd continues to improve, he's currently 9th in the Snickers score.
And I looked at the car a while ago. I don't think there's a mark on that 88 car. And Darrell and I were talking during break. I guarantee you he's probably not had any brake issues whatsoever as Dale Earnhardt Jr. continues his march to the front. This is a battle for 5th with J.J. Yaley in the 18 car. Right now, though, Dale Earnhardt Jr. about 5.5 seconds behind leader Jimmy Johnson with 90 to go.
But what a turnaround for Yaley. What a great turnaround this season. He had some strong runs in open wheel cars in the offseason, came in here with a renewed focus and attitude, and the Joe Gibbs team is solidly behind him, and he has had a strong early season.
And you know, I was a little concerned because we interviewed him at Daytona, and he and Darrell and I looked at each other. He said, I'm going to start driving harder, and we went, uh-oh. I think he's driving smarter.
Well, I do too, and I think he's one of those ones. Remember earlier in the show we talked about sports psychologists and people that were getting in your head and helping you get positive thoughts. I think he's one of those guys that's taking advantage of that.
Yaley is 12th in points at the moment. Last year led the league in crashed cars.
So I tried to get a sports psychologist for Hammond, but I couldn't find anybody to take the job.
Jamie McMurray, the 26, goes by his teammates Matt Kenseth in the 17. Matt continues to slide backwards. They worked some strategy and got some track position, but obviously I'm sure Matt Kenseth will be glad to get this 500 lapper over, or this weekend over. Actually loses 2 positions, also to Jeff Burton in the 31, the orange car there.
There's the gap from Johnson to Kyle Busch, 1st to 2nd.
Yeah, and you know what? I just believe Jimmy Johnson's on cruise control right now. I think he's just letting that 5 stay close.
How about this battle? Clint Boyer and Tony Stewart. 7th place here. Now Stewart had, you see chunks of rubber flying, but Stewart had little trouble catching Boyer, but catching is one thing, passing is another.
Well, Boyer's had a solid run all day. The only thing I've noticed that car do, every now and then up off the corner, it'll absolutely turn sideways with him.
You see it walked up the racetrack right there, getting into turn 3 that time. He's going to lose a spot to Stewart in the 20.
So Tony climbs to 7.
You know what happened there? Let me tell you what happened there. When you look in the rearview mirror, that's what happens. This is what he saw, and this is what he does. Whoops. Where'd he go? Oh, there he is.
This place is such a hit-your-mark, line-sensitive racetrack getting in the corner.
That's why you always run into the back of people. If you get them looking back at you, you can drive right by them.
83 laps to go. Jimmy Johnson in front of Kyle Busch by 0.8 of a second. Denny Hamlin, Jeff Gordon, Dale Jr. trying to close it in.
Stop. Victory lane.
NASCAR Nextel Cup Racing on Fox is sponsored by Budweiser, the official beer of NASCAR. This is Budweiser, this is beer. By DLP, HDTV powered by DLP. It's amazing, it's the mirrors. By Nextel, only from Sprint, helping NASCAR Nextel Cup fans get more done. And by Chevy, the most wins in NASCAR history, an American revolution.
We're just about to talk about Dale Jarrett as the best running Toyota. His UPS Camry was in 21st, but that wheel was his right rear wheel. It came off in turn number 2. The wheel studs are still there, and the wheel just fell off.
You picked the fine time to leave me, loose wheel.
Hadn't heard that in a few years.
This could turn out to be a big deal.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Boy,
Boy, Casey Kane in the 9, Matt Kenseth, we were riding with him there in the 17, just getting by.
Boy, Mike, I mean, we could see that there was absolutely no wheel studs there. The wheel just comes off or lug nuts, or we need lug nuts on the wheel. Wonder if he had to be complaining about a vibration at some point.
Because it's been a while, about 40 laps.
Ruh-roh.
And Kevin Harvick's day has gone up in smoke.
He's out of the car. You see Kevin there, comes in here 5th in the points. I think that possibly definitely is going to change. In fact, he's just barely going to hang in the top 10 the way his day has went.
Boy, he's had some fuel issues today, hasn't he?
Not sure what caused that fire, but it got Harvick out of the car quickly, and he will fade at least to 10th in the Nextel Cup standings.
Two things that used to make me nervous: when my team would work on my fuel line and my return springs on my foot feed. That always make me nervous.
So it was Jarrett that brought out the 12th caution of the day, but the longer cleanup will be to remove Kevin Harvick's car.
We saw David Ruderman there on pit road, but pit road is closed. They're actually, looks like they're going under the hood of the 00 car.
Boy, Mikey, Jarrett loses a wheel and David's in the pits with the hood up.
Tonight on Fox, The War at Home, 7 p.m. Eastern Time and 7:30. The Simpsons come on at 8, followed by King of the Hill at 8:30. Family Guy at 9, and American Dad at 9:30 tonight on your local Fox station.
Now, just to set the stage here of what we've got, there you see the wheel off Dale Jarrett, Steve Peterson with NASCAR rolling it, and looks like Kevin Harvick's going to get back in the 29 car. But we're going to have about 65 to 70 laps to go, and I see a lot of cars scrubbing their tires. We've got guys out there that have about 60 laps on their tires, like Jimmy Johnson, Denny Hamlin, Ricky Rudd. Then we have the other group that has about 40 laps on their tires, like Dale Earnhardt Jr., Jeff Gordon, Clint Boyer, Tony Stewart, Jeff Burton, Jamie McMurray. A lot of those guys 40 laps on their tires, but just track position just looks like it's just worth so much right now.
Now, with a push, Kevin Harvick was able to refire his car and get going again.
Yeah, he just thanked the safety crew and cranked her up and drove off. Coming in the pits, analyze this situation.
Now, Dale Jarrett, they've put a tire back on the 44 car. He's going down pit road back out on the racetrack.
Man, I think it's bizarre sometimes, doesn't it?
And it had been a while since that car had been on pit road.
Kevin Harvick, though he was able to drive away, has now driven his car to the garage area. Matt, what was it this time?
Well, when it rains, it pours, Mike, especially for the 29 team. Apparently, they're saying on the radio that the foam in the right side door caught fire, which was something Matt Kenseth was talking about back at Bristol last weekend.
Matt, that's not possible. I read where that was not possible.
Now, guys, Kyle Busch, one of the only cars that's on the lead lap. Now, here comes Clint Boyer, McMurray, Rudd, a lot of the guys that were back outside the top 10, but Kyle Busch is pretty much going to give up a second spot here with less than 70 laps to go. But remember, he's one of the cars that's out there on 60-lap tires versus the other guys that have 40.
Krista.
Guys, he had to come in. He hadn't done so since lap 338. He's been very happy with the car. He said he does need some drive off. They're going to try to get it with an air pressure adjustment, 4 tires. Kyle says this is the best his car has been all day.
Kurt Busch, 4 fresh tires. Let's say about half or more of the cars on the lead lap came in. We now have 21 of them. Tony Raines got the free pass on this caution, the 12th of the day.
It's hard to believe that Tony Raines can even keep going. I mean, that car was hard in the outside wall, and here he is, got the free pass, back on the lead lap.
You know what's interesting is, by the way this pit stop sequence has worked out, honestly, when I look at the front of the field, I think if you look at the entire first 430 laps of this race, the 4 best race cars are up there right now, first through 4th. Jimmy Johnson, Denny Hamlin, Jeff Gordon, Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Look who's right with them, Yaley and Stewart. So that puts all 3 Gibbs cars right up front. 2 of the 4 Hendricks cars up front.
Childress is 31 for Burton. We had some audio from Jimmy Johnson and team.
Tires coming. Is there anything we should worry about if we stay out? Tires are good. Tires are good. Run that pace, so as long as the ton don't head to pit road and I'm the only one out there, I think we'll be okay.
Well, he pretty much got his wish because the first 11 cars, counting Johnson, stayed on the racetrack.
Yeah, I think that's the thing he has going for him is he had a lot of friends behind him. You see his crew chief Chad Knaus reassuring him everything's good, tires look good. But talking about those front four, I talked about the 4 best race cars. Of the 431 laps that we've had, those 4, they've led 398 of those 431 laps.
Jimmy Johnson won here last October. He led half the race, 245 laps. Matt?
Well, the crew guys are working on the 29 car. Kevin, what happened?
Same thing that happened to a lot of guys last week. Foam caught on fire in the right side door, so I guess blaming it on something else is probably not the right thing to do. I mean, this thing just started burning up, so it's almost turning into a joke now.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Just to follow up, the statement I made about that's not possible, that came from NASCAR. They said it was not possible for that stuff to catch on fire, that it had a coating on it that would keep it from it.
Safety foam in the right side door, there for crushability and safety. Not too far away from those exhaust pipes out the right side, Larry.
That was a lot of talk after Bristol. Is NASCAR, they've mandated a lot of things about this car tomorrow. The foam in the left door, the foam in the right door. But every car, if you look at these cars, every car, the exhaust pipes, they have to be the same configuration, and they have to exit out the right side just in front of that right rear tire.
I've made the comment a number of times today. I've seen black smoke coming out of the right side of these cars. It may not be coming from the exhaust. It may be something inside the car that's causing that black smoke.
And a number of teams going to thicker exhaust pipe tubing after some issues at Bristol.
Yeah, that's stretching it, in my opinion. I think there's an issue there that nobody wanted to live up to, but it sounds like they will after today.
Kevin Harvick would go from 5th to 10th the way the points stand right this moment. Jeff Gordon would leave here as the leader. He came in as the leader. Jeff Burton 2nd, Jimmy Johnson 3rd, Matt Kenseth 4th. Those positions would stay the same. Kyle Busch would move up a spot, and Denny Hamlin would move up to 6th. That would be a gain of 3. Tony Stewart would move up to 8th, a gain of 4 positions.
And going back to the strategy, just so we understand that the car in 3rd and 4th right now, Jeff Gordon at 24, Dale Earnhardt Jr. at 8, they have about 20 less laps on their tires than Jimmy Johnson and Denny Hamlin.
Time to pick an Allstate Good Hands driver. And today, we're going with Jimmy Johnson. When he passed Kyle Busch for the lead, it made everybody stand up and say, as bad as that car was in practice, how can it be this good now? So Allstate congratulates Jimmy Johnson, Allstate official insurance sponsor of NASCAR.
I'm going to give it to the whole 48 group. Yeah, I know Jimmy Johnson's behind the wheel of that thing, but obviously that 48 team, they're the ones that made wholesale changes almost after every practice session, including this morning. There you see Chad Knaus, his engineer, beside him.
I'm going to give it to the whole Hendrick team because, as you heard Jimmy Johnson say, thanks to the 24 team, they worked very closely together. They nailed it.
And you know that we have a lot of the same look at Bristol right now. We talked about organizations prevailing with research and development on this car tomorrow. I'm looking at Hendrick Motorsports right now. They have 3 cars in the top 8. And how about Joe Gibbs Racing? We've been talking about this for 2 weeks. They have their 3 cars all in the top 6.
And I think that's expected, Larry. The teams with the most resources and the teams that have the most ability to go do research, development, testing, they're going to get the advantage.
There's the Joe Gibbs running order. 3 cars in the top half dozen. 3 of them started. All 3 started in the top 7 positions. Stewart started 7. Steve Peterson of NASCAR talking with Kevin Harvick's crew chief, Todd Berrier.
Steve has played a very big role. We were talking about Brett Bodine. We talked about Gary Nelson this weekend, Steve Peterson, all those guys played a very big role. This Car Tomorrow project has been almost, from the time they sat down, almost a 7-year project putting this whole program together.
Krista?
When we talked to Denny Hamlin during that rain delay, he talked about how hungry he is for a win here at his home track. Denny Hamlin, a native of Chesterfield, Virginia. But another reason he needs a win here is because of the trash talking going on by his spotter, Curtis Markham. You see, Curtis is also a Virginia native, and he is a former late model racer who has won here at this track 4 times. He keeps telling Denny, score is for me on clocks. Denny, you 0.
Curtis had a lot of success in the Busch Series as well as a driver. From Virginia, it'll take us 2 weeks to get to Texas, but when we do, don't forget last year when Casey Kane turned a great pit stop into a trip to victory lane, holding off Matt Kenseth for the checkers. What'll happen in 2 weeks? You'll have to watch Nextel Cup racing from Texas Motor Speedway. Sunday, April 15th, 1:30 Eastern in high definition, right here on Fox.
Big boy racing next week, or 2 weeks. They got the hat and the cattle. And the 6 shooters. You got it.
Hendrick Motorsports out front with Jimmy Johnson. They've won 6 of the last 8 Martinsville races. 4 wins for Jeff Gordon and 2 for Jimmy. Joe Gibbs Racing in 2nd place. Hendrick 3rd, Dale Earnhardt Incorporated 4th, Gibbs 5th, Gibbs 6th, Richard Childress Racing in 7th, Hendrick in 8th, and Roush Fords in 9th and 10th, Robert Yates Ford in 11th, and an Evernham Dodge in 12th. We're ready to go with 61 to go when they come back, and we'll go back to green.
The consistency of the concrete's why you can just set a car up here and get it the same every time you come here.
Now under the caution, Jimmy Johnson and the 19 of Elliott Sadler exchanged hand signals about the restart. Sadler gave Johnson plenty of room to drop in front.
But he is racing that 11 car tooth and nail right now. Elliott Sadler trying to get back on the lead lap or stay eligible for the free pass. Hamlin will finally clear Sadler. Now Jeff Gordon has his hands full of the 19 car.
So many things that happen on the short track is all about let's make a deal. You know, plead your case, get the spotter involved, crew chiefs involved. Work with me, baby. I'll help you next time I get a chance.
Sadler is 2 laps down. The first car 1 lap down, Sterling Marlin behind him, so they're not even racing for position.
And Darrell, I believe right now, and I don't anticipate that anything's going to go south on that 48 car. I think if the handling stays where it's at on that car, I think he's better than Hamlin right now. Or Hamlin's not better than the 48, but you better believe Jimmy Johnson would hope that Denny Hamlin keeps his teammate Jeff Gordon behind him as long as possible in that 24.
Keep looking at the stopwatch, Larry, and the 48, when he has to, can pick up 2/10. He ran a 38 last time by. He ran a 48 this time by. And that's a 10th that is so quicker than the 2nd place car.
Well, Chad Knaus did not tell a story to his driver, Jimmy Johnson, because Jimmy Johnson has not been to pit road since lap 361. 2 laps ago, he just ran the fastest lap he's run in this race, a 20:38.
Those worn tires work pretty well here.
And that track position.
I think the rain really helped the racetrack. I think it just took some of that film off of it, cooled it down a little bit more. Rep is at a premium right now.
Jeff Burton now trying to battle J.J. Yaley.
Got a pretty good battle here. Got a pretty good battle for 2nd, too. I'd say Jeff Gordon is sitting back here saying, you ain't heard the last of me, baby.
I believe right now Jeff Gordon is better than Denny Hamlin in the 11 car, but Denny Hamlin's running the preferred line. He just can't get by him.
And every time Gordon puts that bumper up against the rear of Hamlin's car, Jeff is explaining that to Denny.
Oh, yeah. Jeff Gordon comes in here, the points leader. You heard Chris Myers in the pre-race say this is the first time he's been the points leader in over 2 years when he won the 2005 Daytona 500.
Well, the advantage Jeff Gordon has, it doesn't matter what kind of racetrack we go to, he's going to be good.
He is wearing that rear bumper out on that black 11 car. I think Denny's finally said, you know what? I've had enough. Just have at it.
That's what you do. You worry a guy to death. Earnhardt used to be the best at that, anybody I know.
Thank you, buddy. Nice rhythm. You got him covered.
He just worry you to death till you got out of his way.
Now, that was Steve Letarte, Jeff Gordon's crew chief, telling him, just get your rhythm back. You've got him. And because Steve Letarte knows that he has about 20 lap fresher tires than their teammate, Jimmy Johnson, the 48.
And in 6th place, Kyle Busch has just passed Jeff Burton. You saw the drive Jeff Gordon got off the corner clearly at this stage. A little bit quicker than Denny Hamlin.
About a tenth a second.
50 laps to go. Time is running out at Martinsville. Welcome back to Martinsville, Virginia. 42 laps to go. Jeff Gordon has caught his teammate Jimmy Johnson. Johnson trying to be the first driver to win consecutive races at Martinsville since Gordon did it, winning both races of 2005.
What do you think Jeff Gordon is? Well, I know what he's thinking. Didn't we help those guys a lot?
Here I am looking at the rear bumper.
Didn't we do a lot for those guys yesterday?
And Mike, we had Jeff Gordon on our trackside show on Friday night, and you know, obviously he's doing a lot of big picture racing right now as a points leader. But just remember, if he can get in front of Jimmy Johnson in that 48 car, it's 20 more points to him making the chase. 10 for just finishing first over second. But for every win a driver gets in the first 26 races, it's 10 bonus points added to your total.
Boy, he had Jimmy looking. Jimmy thought Jimmy opened up the inside because Jeff kind of looked to the inside going down the back. So he's got Jimmy looking. It won't be long now.
You know what they're going to be looking at here pretty soon, though, in about 2 or 3 laps? The back of the field. So we got a battle right there for 5th place between Kyle Busch in the 5, Tony Stewart in the 20. But our leaders are about to get in heavy, heavy traffic.
That's 2 Tigers going there. Both of them named Tony.
Tony Stewart had a little trouble getting past Sterling Marlin, and Kyle Busch took advantage of the inside being open and worked his way past Stewart for 6th, or 5th rather.
While this is all going on, we need to mention Kevin Harvick back out on the racetrack. So here with 38 laps to go, all 43 cars still on the track.
New fuel pump, new foam, new foam in the door.
Now the Hendrick teams can all talk. The drivers do have a channel. They can talk to one another, and they can also all talk to their boss, car owner Rick Hendrick.
I know what he's saying. Be nice to each other, boys. Big picture. Think big picture.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. We're riding with him in the 4th position, but yeah, Hendrick cars now 1st, 2nd, and 5th. Kyle Busch in the 5 car in 5th.
There's a little white teddy bear inside that 24 that wants to win really bad.
Yes, there is.
And I'm not talking about Jeff.
I was going to say, or explain that.
Well, you had to be tuned in at the top of the show.
That's right. Now this is where Jeff has to be nice. Big picture race, because again, we're going to lap some cars here. Got to work together to get through this mess.
They are in heavy, heavy, heavy traffic right now. We've got 34 laps to go this time.
The thing I like about Jimmy's car working the traffic is it rolls right around that curve so well. All they got to do is give him a little room and he can get in under them. I think Jeff's cars are equally as good.
But you're right, Jimmy Johnson, that 48 car, he has not moved more than about 3 or 4 inches off that yellow curving.
And I tell you something else, it wouldn't take but just a little touch to turn him around either. There's a look inside. Is he going to give it? Yikes.
He's got room, but can he get the drive off the corner? No, not that time.
Don't you love this? Jimmy doesn't roll. It's Jeff Gordon, my teammate. I'll get out of his way and let him go. I mean, they're racing, and they're racing each other like gentlemen.
Not just his teammate, his mentor, the man who told Rick Hendrick, hire this kid, put him in a car, he can win.
We saw Jimmy's wife, Shani, up on the pit box a while ago during the red flag. Jeff Gordon actually introduced Shani to Jimmy Johnson, who, of course, now is Jimmy's wife.
22 laps to go. That grandfather clock is ticking away.
That's it. Nice and straight off the corner.
These two guys have had a little bit of a run-in a time or two. There's another one.
Montoya.
It's a tight group right there. Looks like Montoya's got the best of them, though.
It's a battle for 15th between these three guys, all still on the lead lap.
And the battle for rookie of the race is Montoya and David Reagan, the next car in front of him.
And he's closing in on him, too. Montoya seems to be closing in a little bit. I like this battle up front, though. These guys, I have so much respect for both of them. How they race people, how they race each other. Rick Hendrick, it's a great operation, man.
David Gilliland slow on the inside of the racetrack, but out of the way of traffic. And on the outside of the track, Truex is slow. Had a problem earlier in his #1 car. Gilliland goes to the garage, and Truex will make it to the pits. No problem there.
Darrell, just watching our two guys up front, looks like Gordon gets down into the corner better. Johnson can get off the corner better in the 48 car.
Double wide traffic ahead. Here goes Gordon to the inside.
Boy, Jimmy didn't cut him any slack.
Nope, they bumped. Gordon's car wouldn't cut.
Jimmy come right down in front of Jeff because he knew he had to take that line away from him.
He gave him a little bump right there down in 1 and 2 that time, but actually it hurt the momentum of the 24 car.
That's kind of like saying, hey, dude, you cut me off back there. Don't do that again.
Spin, Yaley in the wall, turn 1. And the caution is out. And a fine race by J.J. Yaley is going to end at least 1 lap down.
It's funny how we had the 38, the 1, the 18, all at once. And sounds like a brake-related issue of some kind. He said it wouldn't turn, like a brake issue. Very similar to what we heard out of Jeff Gordon earlier in the race. Oh, that.
Whoa.
Not sure about
right around on him.
Looks like it might have locked up the brakes, possibly.
NASCAR Nextel Cup Racing on Fox is sponsored by UPS, official delivery company of NASCAR.
Nextel helps NASCAR and NASCAR fans get things done. How about our Nextel getting it done call of the race?
I'm going to go with Chad Knaus in that 48 group for a couple reasons. One, as we were speaking, how much trouble they have been in all weekend long. They're sitting here leading the race with 22 laps to go. But he rolled the dice right after that red flag when a lot of the leaders elected to stay out back on lap 361, came to pit road. May end up not winning this race, but a great call.
I'm kind of liking the 11 car. Overcome that trouble in the pits, fell way back. Here he is sitting in 3rd spot. Not sure he doesn't have a little something for these guys. He wants it, and he wants it bad.
I'm going with the whole 24 team. I think sharing their setup with the 48 enabled a car that was not very good to become a car that's capable of winning the race. And even if Jeff Gordon doesn't win it, that's pretty good call.
It is. Good teamwork. Good camaraderie.
You know, a car that we have not talked a lot about today, Scott Riggs in his 10 car. He got the free pass earlier. He was one of the cars that came in here out of the top 35 in owner points. He had to qualify on time. He qualified 26. He's sitting here now in the top 10 in 9th position. And right there just on the fringe, if he can pick up a couple of positions, maybe getting in the top 35 before we go to Texas in 2 weeks.
I think he won his first, like he won a truck race here. It was like his first big win he ever had. So, obviously likes Martinsville.
He did. He won a truck race in 2001 here.
Sterling Marlin got the free pass, and that will once again give us 21 cars on the lead lap. Getting down to crunch time. 20 to go next time.
Trying to figure out who this is helping. If it's helping anything or anybody. I think it's helping those guys close up on those 2 leaders is what I think.
You know, the good thing right now is with this few laps to go, these guys have a good clean restart. They're going to have to contend with the cars 1 or more laps down the inside, but they may not catch the back of the field with as few laps to go and have to work that lap traffic.
Yeah, the 48 and the 24 more likely will clear the lap cars. The question is, can the 11 and the 8 get by them before they get to turn 2?
Matt, can Jeff Gordon win it?
And right now he's talking to his crew chief, Steve LeCart, on the radio. It seems like your car really came alive when you guys made that adjustment on the last stop.
Yeah, no, the DuPont Chevrolet's been good and bad all day. It's kind of been off and on, but I can't say enough about these guys. They've done a wonderful job, and I just hope we got an opportunity here to get by Jimmy.
Can you get around your man to get another clock?
I don't know. I hope so. We'll find out.
Jeff Gordon's won clocks with Ray Evernham, Brian Weitzel, Robbie Loomis, Steve Letarte trying to grab one himself.
Wonder what the radio traffic was between owner Rick Hendrick and his 2 drivers at the front of the pack during this caution.
Darrell knows Rick pretty good, but I'd say it could have just been involved in 2 words. Be smart.
Yeah, be smart. But I'll tell you what he said, big picture. But I wonder what Jeff Gordon and Jimmy Johnson are saying to each other.
We'll have a look from our DLP Ultimate Picture Cam as we get set for this restart. Here they come. Johnson, Gordon, Hamlin, Earnhardt, Busch. 18 laps to go.
Boy, Denny Hamlin in that 11, he got a great restart. He stayed right on the rear bumper of that 24 car. They're trying to clear this lap traffic. The 2 Evernham cars, Sadler and Casey Kane, the 19 and the 9.
Kyle Busch gets under Dale Jr., but there's nowhere to go. He bumps Jr. aside. Guess there's a place to go now.
Yeah, he's got the preferred line down into 1. Junior's going to try him on the outside, hoping he gets hung up behind the 9, but the 9's going to move off in front there, and Kyle Busch moves away, looks to the inside.
Another bold move.
Got that line down low, makes that pass.
A man on a mission right now. Finally, Jeff Gordon clears the lap car of Elliott Sadler in the 19.
Kyle Busch made 2 really bold moves, and for the moment, they have paid off.
You got to go, boys. I mean, you know, we're inside of 10 laps or 15 laps to go. Can't be held up here.
There was the first one inside Dale Jr., a little bump and run.
Got up on the curb ever so slightly, but that's all fair in love and racing.
Boy, Jr. had to grab a big handful of wheel to hold on to his car after that bump.
All fair, love and racing with 15 to go at Martinsville.
Yes, sir.
Remember, Kyle Busch has fresher tires than any of these guys because he came to pit road not that many laps ago.
He trails Denny Hamlin by a car length into turn 1.
I think he wants to, Kyle Busch would like to win this race, make up for that little comment he said last week after the race. What do you think? I bet he wouldn't say that about his car this week if he won.
Probably not. He's been told not to anyhow.
I'm thinking you're right.
Right now, Jimmy Johnson in that 48 car, he's actually stretched it out on his teammate Jeff Gordon just a little bit faster, 13 to go.
I just think that little caution flag right there helped Jimmy Johnson. Got his stuff cooled off, and he's able to maybe put a little distance between he and Jeff. They're going to be close at the line, but 48's got the position.
Jeff said earlier his car is better on long runs. He's got 12 laps to find out how good it can be.
You can see it. He really gets into the corner much better than Jimmy. Drives it off in there hard, really closes right there. Then Jimmy gets a good run off.
And that's been the case for about the last 50 or 75 laps. Jimmy especially gets off turn 2, I think, better than the 24 car. Right here, that's where he seems to stretch it out just a little bit. Jeff got a pretty good run that time, actually.
10 to go this time. Nice and smooth here.
Scott Riggs just gave McMurray a bump as they battled for 8th place. A little further back. Going to try it again.
Riggs is a little bit better than McMurray, and he wants that spot.
Boys, Jeff Gordon at 24 with 10 to go. He's pulled right up to the rear bumper of his teammate.
And the 48 jumped a little loose there up on the straightaway off of 2. Gives Jeff another look here. I think Jeff's going to have to possibly give him a little bump to get him up off the bottom. No, you know what? Jimmy saw him there. Jimmy gave him the bottom.
But as we've been saying, he gets to run off the corner a lot better than 24 car, especially about a half a lane off the bottom.
Good forward bite, good acceleration. Ooh, there's a little tap. Seems like down here getting in, he's going to give him the kind of dime in the corner. Didn't work for him that time, lost a little ground.
I think, Darrell, to pass Jimmy Johnson, Gordon is going to have to move him out of the way.
I think you're right. He's going to have to give him a little bit of a bump to get him wiggling and get him up out of the bottom.
7 to go this time.
Riggs did complete the pass on McMurray. That was for 8th place.
This could be it right there, right there.
Got to get to him, though.
Yeah, well, those are little bumps that are just aggravating Jimmy and really trying to break his concentration.
Fairly clean racetrack in front of them. One car up there, David Rudiman. 6 to go this time.
It's going to take something from Jeff Gordon to move Jimmy Johnson out of the way, because Jimmy, I don't believe, is going to make that mistake.
Jeff took a little different line that time in 1 and 2. Came in high, took a late apex.
He's diamond in the corner. He's trying to get a nose under Jimmy, because Jimmy is so good on the very bottom. I think Jeff knows he's got to get a nose up under him to get him out of there.
There you see the two head coaches, the two crew chiefs, Steve Letarte on the left, Chad Knaus on the right. They know there's not another thing they can do now.
Jimmy made a good 1 and 2 that time. Got a car length on Jeff down the back. Jeff closes back in hard, getting in the corner. Again, he's trying to do that diamond thing, get the thing up the hill just a little bit, get nice momentum off. This is it. He's going to go for it right here.
He'll look to the inside, going into turn 1, 4 to go.
Got room.
See what happens here, though, on the exit. The 48 gets that good run. He'll win the drag race back down the backstretch.
If that was anybody else, Jeff Gordon would have come up right there. But
there it is, bump, bump. I think he's going to do it this time. He lost his momentum, though.
No, Jimmy Johnson come down on him. He said, "You're not going to bump me out of the way. I'm your teammate."
3 to go. Teammates battling for the win and the clock and the bonus points at Martinsville.
I tell you what Jeff Gordon's going to do. He's going to do that same move coming to get the white flag.
Jeff Gordon says on the radio, he's giving me no choice.
And he isn't. Jimmy's doing everything he can to keep him back there. Jeff's going to have to move him if he wants to win this race. Don't wreck him, just move him.
It'll be the white flag when they come back to the line.
I believe if he's got anything for him, we'll see it off of turn 4.
Right, he can't get to him in turn 2, Darrell. White flag, but no surrender.
One more good one here, bud.
It's the last lap.
This is it. He's going to look under him there. Jimmy got a little bit off. He had to get out of the gas a little bit.
They hit you. Be ready for it.
Here we go. He's going to move him. He's going to move him. He's going to move him.
Here comes
the
Gordon.
Inside.
He's got the inside. They touch once, twice. Drag race. Jimmy Johnson.
Whoa! By a fender.
Gentleman Jim. He held him off. Nice job, Jimmy.
What a race by teammates.
That was fantastic. I bet Jeff Gordon isn't terribly happy either.
It's what we've been waiting for 5 years right there. Awesome. That was my year. I just beat there. Might have pissed.
Yes, you did.
Good, clean racing.
Yeah.
That's about as good as it gets at Martinsville right there. Their teammate Kyle Busch in the 5 ends up finishing 4th.
Jimmy wasn't going to move over and just let Jeff go by. They really put on a whale of a show. That's a way to race.
Well, the last time a driver won 3 of the first 6 races of the season, it was Jeff Gordon in 1996, who won Richmond, Darlington, and Bristol. How about Jimmy Johnson? Had Gordon won, it would have tied him with Dale Earnhardt with 76 career wins, but that will have to wait for another day.
Mike, you talked about those 3 wins. Just remember, we talked about this a little while ago. Jimmy Johnson makes the chase. That gives him 30 bonus points already going into those final 10 races.
You just have to have so much admiration and respect for that whole crowd, man. I mean, just think the shape they were in yesterday.
Congratulations to Chevy driver Jimmy Johnson, winner today from Chevy, an American Revolution.
Baby's trailing smoke. I believe I think he may have heard it.
Jeff Gordon had to settle for 2nd. Denny Hamlin was 3rd. Kyle Busch, Dale Earnhardt Jr. Here's the finish. Jeff Gordon gave it his all. Came up a fender short. We'll go to victory lane after this. Welcome back to Martinsville Speedway, where the clock chimes for number 48.
Oh, what a great day. What a great race by this crowd. Great day for Hendrick Motorsports.
I want to give a call to our 2 rookies. David Reagan, Juan Pablo Montoya. Finished up there in the top 16, ran all 500 laps of this race.
What a great side-by-side finish as Hendrick Motorsports wins its 7th of the last 9 Martinsville races. Steve Burns is in victory lane.
And Mike, Jimmy Johnson climbs out of the race car, his 26th NASCAR Nextel Cup victory. Jimmy, you led the last 113 laps. What did it mean to you to outduel Jeff Gordon, the guy that told Rick Hendrick to give you a shot?
I'm speechless for that. I mean, I've looked up to him my whole career before I even was back here racing. Looked up to him and knew how good he was at Martinsville and just wanted to be on the same page with him here. And have a duel like that at the end, that was probably the hardest driving I've ever done. And then to have my bumper beat off by my teammate in a way that didn't jeopardize either one of us was really a class act by Jeff, and just great preparation from this race team to give us 2 cars to go out there and fight for the win like this.
Jimmy, how did you plan your defense of that racetrack? He was so close to you for those final laps.
Well, I wanted to be on the bottom, and if you wanted to be outside, there's plenty of room up there. So I defended the bottom, and these bumpers on these cars are much more forgiving than in the past. I gave him the inside lane a few times. He had, I could see him coming, and I didn't want to squeeze him and run him up on the curb, so I left him the inside lane. But coming down to the checkered flag, he gave me a shot in 3 and 4, and at that point, I just turned left and crowded him and tried beating him back to the start-finish line.
Congratulations on a thrilling victory.
Thank you, buddy. Thank you.
Matt?
A top 5 last week at Bristol, a second-place finish here at Martinsville. Could it be any more dramatic, especially racing a teammate like that, Jeff?
Yeah, I mean, that was an awesome race. We had an awesome car, the DuPont Impala. And, I mean, the only way I could get by him was to wreck him, and he's my teammate. And I tell you what, it's going to be some interesting racing going forward because he blocked me really bad. I thought that, I thought I had, a chance at him a couple of times. He shut the door pretty good. But, I'm real proud of Hendrick Motorsports 1, 2, 3, I believe. And, like I said, I'm not going to wreck a guy to win a race. I tried to move him. With these cars, it's tough to do, and he did exactly what he should have done. So, I'm happy for Jimmy, happy for Hendrick that they won the race. But, I'm really disappointed that we didn't because I felt like we should have.
Jeff Gordon, second at Martinsville.
With Junior, a good finish today, 5th, but you wanted to win.
Oh, yeah, I think all of us out here did. We had a great car. I want to thank my crew. I'm frustrated that we didn't finish as well as we led a lot of laps here, but we should have the car there at the end. Hendricks Motorsports and Denny and them guys, they had great cars. Congratulations to them, and we'll take it. But, we're tired of running so good here and not winning. We'd like to really get a win here, but, if we stay patient, our day will come.
Debris in your eye.
Well, we documented how badly Denny Hamlin wanted to win this race. Denny, you had to settle for 3rd. Is that good enough? And how hard were you driving those last 18 laps?
As hard as I could go. It's just the 19 kind of raced the 24 and I harder than what I hoped. But it was a good race. Those guys started coming back to me late in the run, but I just couldn't run with them on the short go when we got caught on the outside of the 19. So one of those deals. We came up short again, and hopefully we'll get them in October.
All right, thanks, Krista. So an emotional Jeff Gordon. He blocked me badly. Happy for his Hendrick teammate, Jeff Hammond. If it's anybody else, does Jeff Gordon wreck Jimmy Johnson or that guy in front of him?
Well, I think Jeff Gordon wins the race today if it wasn't his teammate. Again, I think he did everything he could short of turning him around because Jimmy's too good. He knew it was coming. He blocked him the right way. And then Jeff, like I say, he did not finish him off. He pushed, but he didn't take him out. Anybody else, he'd have been around.
Official margin of victory, 0.19 seconds. It was that close, and we know that Jimmy Johnson did hold off his teammate, Jeff Gordon. As you check out the standings, Jeff Gordon remains the point standings overall. We head to the Easter break in the Texas in 2 weeks. Jeff Gordon, your points leader, followed by Jeff Burton and Jimmy Johnson up to 3rd. Remember, Mark Martin didn't race in this race. He'll be back in a couple of weeks. He was the points leader. Dale Earnhardt Jr. up to 11th after flirting with a possible victory here.
Well, right now, Chris, all I can say is you look at the rest of the points run down as far as when we go to Texas right now, the guys will be going from the COT car back to the car they've been running with all year long. You want to call it yesterday's car, that's what they have in Texas. It'll be fast at Texas. They'll be back to coil binding. Totally different package when we get to Texas.
Talk about who has the car tomorrow figured out. Well, Hendrick Motorsports has won the 2 races with Kyle Busch. And just to confirm, as you heard Jeff Gordon refer, it was actually Hendrick 1, 2, and 4. Denny Hamlin winding up 3rd for Joe Gibbs Racing. But Hendrick Motorsports, they won the last 3 races, 2 by Johnson and, of course, Kyle Busch. And tomorrow would have been the 27-year-old birthday of Rick Hendrick's son, who, remember, died in a plane crash here in Virginia back in October of 2004 on his way coming to this racetrack in Martinsville. So a terrific finish for Hendrick Motorsports. Jimmy Johnson holding off Jeff Gordon. The car of tomorrow is here to stay on April Fool's Day. Thanks for hanging with us. For Jeff Hammond, I'm Chris Myers. You have a good holiday Easter week. We'll see you a couple of weeks in Texas. Thanks for watching NASCAR on Fox.
Let's go get him, Chuck. Show me what you got, little mama. Show me what you got, lady. Show me what you got, shawty. Show me what you got, baby.
Show me what you got, buddy. This is it.
Promotional considerations provided by the following.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our loyal fans for your continued support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.